Welcome to the show. I am MMA insider and Herb Dean's dog sitter, Joey Venti, and you're listening to the MMA History Podcast, the only podcast dedicated 100% to the preservation of mixed martial arts history. Interviews and stories about the early days of MMA direct from the men who lived it. Hundreds of interviews, thousands of hours of research, all conducted by the most obsessed mind in the business, the MMA detective Mike Davis. Join us as we document the history of the sport we all love. Fellow historians, welcome back to the MMA History Podcast. I am Joey Venti. I'm here with the MMA detective Mike Davis, and today we have a special episode for you. Today we are joined by former UFC heavyweight and current canine eugenicist, the self-proclaimed best-looking fighter in the world, over 6'5", Sean Big Sexy McCorkle. Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it. Took a little while to get us together, but I think we got it going now. So
yeah. So Sean, let's do some plugs. Let's get your business, as well as you occasionally sit in on the MMA Roasted podcast with Adam Hunter.
Yeah, it used to be before I was as busy as I am now. I used to do it every week with him on the MMA Roasted podcast for free, I might add. But no, I've known Adam for probably 15 years now, and so we do that. I can't believe it's not more popular than it is with me, Don Fry, Mayhem, Bill Dawes, the comedian, and Adam, but we average a solid 500 views a week, I think, on YouTube. So I don't understand.
We can relate. That's laughing relating. Yeah, it's not laughing fun. That's laughing relating. Go ahead.
It's crazy. I could do my own. I could do it by myself and triple my views, or triple the views just doing one by myself. But all those other guys together, I don't know what the deal is.
We'll never understand. We'll never understand it. And like Adam Hunter, he's been around the sport for a long time. Like, he's got Vince Pichel on it, from hell, Vince Pichel, every once in a while. Very talented guy, comedian. You're funny. Everybody else is kind of witty as well. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Never caught on. Yeah, never caught on. I don't know.
Your canine.
My canine? You mean my? Oh, well, yeah, that was
Big Sexy Bullies.
Yeah, I always dreamed of running a puppy mill, and I almost, not really. No, I almost achieved that dream. That's a long, crazy story. I actually am not going to do it anymore, but I basically had a meth head break into my property. The second day I lived out here, I bought a house on 20 acres when the COVID stuff was all going down, thinking that, the zombie apocalypse might be coming. So I bought a house out in the middle of nowhere, hour south of Indianapolis. And the first day I live here, I see someone is parked out in one of my pole barns, and go out there, and it looks like someone's been living in their car, apparently in my pole barn on my new house. So I block them in with my vehicle, get out with an AR-15, search the barn, don't find anybody, don't see anybody. Said, hey, if anybody's in here, you need to let me know. You're at the wrong house. Nothing happens. So I go to leave, walk out. I bump into someone standing there who's about a 4'6" girl in her pajamas with Easter bunny slippers on, and it looks like she's been rolling around the dirt for 3 hours, and she's got a hair over her face. I can't see her, and she's speaking Latin or some bizarre language, just saying crazy things, and starts jumping and crawling around on the ground, just acting nuts. And so I thought someone had taken a little kid back there to molest her or something. I didn't know what was going on, but we called the cops. Turns out, anyway, I wanted to get a good guard dog. My son went live on TikTok while that was going on. Also, my son came out and saw I had someone at gunpoint, and he went live on TikTok. Put former UFC fighter Sean McCorkle has someone at gunpoint, and he's like, Dad, we had like 30,000 live people watching at one point. And I was like, yeah, about to have one dead watching too, because it was crazy. But anyway, wanted to get a good guard dog.
It's Exhibit A. It's Exhibit A when you go to court.
Exactly.
You're getting charged with a crime.
I told him, I was like, dude, what were you gonna do if they if I shot her? He goes, well, I guess stop the feed. And I was like, yeah, that would have been a first good move. But wanted to get a good guard dog. I always raised pit bulls growing up and had them. So I go to start looking through. Pit bulls are apparently now American bullies, or XL American bullies. That's what everyone calls them. Found a litter I wanted to pup off of. Told the girl I would ask her what first pick was. She said 15 to 18 for first pick out of that litter. So I was like, okay, I'll take first pick. And then I said, I'll send the money on Zelle right now. And she said, you can't send that much on Zelle. I was like, no, I really can. And she goes, you really can't. You can't send $18,000 on Zelle. And I was like, you sell dogs for $18,000? And she said, all day long with a waiting list. So that's when I got into, I'm a quarter Jewish. So that got me at least 25% interested that you could ever have a dog you could sell for that much. So I ended up buying a couple dogs from her, sold the first litter at $5,000 to $7,000 a pup, and thought, man, I could just scale this, as they say, and run a puppy mill and make a good living doing it on my property. But it's since fallen apart. But anyway, so that's what I've kind of gotten out of it now. It's just not worth it. Money wise, it's just not worth it anymore. It got oversaturated. Everybody started doing it, started selling the dogs, and before you know it, it's not, it's like trade. I'm always at the wrong place, the wrong time. I get in on everything right as it's getting ready to nosedive.
So
Yeah.
you're starting to open a Bitcoin portfolio like
Yeah,
about a week or two ago.
Yep. I'll tell you what, 6 years ago, I had some money and I wanted to do something with it instead of just leaving it in the bank. So I bought 2,000 ounces of silver for about 27 an ounce, held on to it for 6 years, just finally was like, dude, it's at 29. It's never going anywhere. As God is my witness, I sell it, almost all of it. And within a week or two, it starts its climb, ends up at 125 an ounce at some point a couple months ago. After holding it for 6 years. I mean, no increase at all. So yeah, if I'd held on to it, which it's easy to say that, oh, I would have sold at the right time, but I probably would have sold when I doubled my money. But yeah, I would have 200,000 more dollars if I had just held on to it. So yeah, it's the way it goes.
All right, let's talk about your beginnings, your training. Where do you? All right, I believe I met you at one of Keith Palmer's shows before you ever fought, and you were somewhat of a regular at it was like a 8 Second Saloon, I want to say.
Yeah,
is that true?
Yep, that's where that was my first ever live MMA show I went to.
Actually,
second, yeah, I went to one in El Paso, Texas once, but first ever in Indiana I went to was that's when it wasn't regulated. Nobody even knew it was legal.
Right.
And he just put them on like Keith Palmer was just putting on shows, and I was like, wait, you can just have people fight, and there's no regulation, no anything. And in Indiana, you could at the time, so I couldn't believe it wasn't bigger.
Yeah. See, Indy had like a real cool scene. Jake O'Brien, we dropped him a few weeks ago. Is a testament to that. But like, I see you hanging out, and then when do you start training, and where do you go?
I sold my business in 2005. So I had a ton of money for the first time in my life and some free time for the first time by the time I was 28. So I had met
the appliance business.
Appliance recycling. Yeah. There used to be more money in that than there was in cocaine, man. You cannot imagine. I would buy scratch and dent loads, 10 semi loads from Sears in one day for $25 a piece for damaged brand new appliances. Like they just wanted to liquidate them and turn around and sell them for 10 times my money and ship them to Mexico, South America. It was crazy money in that business. Absolutely crazy. So I kind of lucked into that. My brother and I were partners, couldn't get along long term, so he ended up buying me out. Had enough money, like I said, at 28, where I never had to work again. Had enough investments, had enough things going on until I got divorced anyway. But never had to work again. So my cousin had been going to Marcello Montero's little jiu-jitsu school up in the hood in Indianapolis. There's just this little concrete room in this old warehouse, and he kept saying that if I went in there, he would tap me out. This 180-pound jiu-jitsu guy from Brazil would tap me out. And I'd always watched the UFC, ever since I saw the Smashing Machine, I thought, man, that would be a pretty cool life other than the fighting part. But every other part seemed cool to me. You know what I mean? Like, except having to fight. But always thought I would probably be pretty good at it if I tried it, because I was very big, athletic, and very prideful. Like I would never quit in a fight ever. Like I was like, no matter what, like I wouldn't quit. So I always thought that actually my brother and I started that business. I told him if it didn't work out, I was going to fight in the UFC instead. Like at 22 years old, I told him that, and he said I was nuts. He said, those guys would beat your ass. I was like, dude, I just don't think so. Like, I just don't think it would be that easy. Like most men probably think about themselves. But turns out I was right. So, yeah, so my cousin said that. I went up there and I trained with Marcello the very first day. It's a free class. He's a scam artist, by the way, and I don't suggest anyone ever go to him. But trained with him his first class. I submitted him his first class. Didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu. He taught the Kimura from your back that day, just the one I did to Mark Hunt, basically, where you lean up and come by, cross over and catch the arm. And so I just did it to him when he wanted to roll with me the first class to show me how good he was, I guess, or whatever it is he does. And instead, I just submitted him with it, and he wouldn't tap, and I was about to break his arm, and his little assistant coach was looking at me like saying, no, like, don't break it. I was like, dude, he's tapping. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing this, and so he ended up eventually had to tap, and he was so humiliated and so mad. We never rolled again. The rest of the time I knew him, we never rolled again. Wait,
dude, this is did you know any jujitsu prior to this, or is it just watching VHS tapes?
No, not even that. Just the move he showed us that day. He showed us from guard, like if you're on your back in full guard, leaning up and over and grabbing someone's arm and put him in a Kimura and then leaning back and submitting him with it. So I was thinking, I know I can do that to him. He's only 108. He's probably about 195 pounds when he would lie all the time, but he's like I say 180, 185 pounds. And I was like, I can wrap my legs around him, hold him in position, grab his arm and twist it to make him tap. Like, there's no, I just knew. And then he thought he would get me in some kind of gi move or something like that. But instead I just literally leaned up, did exactly what he shows, trapped his arm, trapped his wrist. He couldn't get out, and then submitted him like 30 seconds later. You would have thought that I conquered the world, because he had like Jedi mind control over every student in there. They thought he was like God, or whatever. Like he had never been submitted, he said, since he'd been in the United States, this and that or whatever. But I got him, yeah, within 30 seconds of our first class. And should have started my own jiu-jitsu school at that point, I guess. But no, it's yeah, so I got him, and he got me back though. He eventually charged my card for 7 years at $110 a month on a back when I used to make a lot of money. And my ex-wife was extremely, extremely expensive. I would always just assume that it was something she bought. So I'd see it on my credit card statement. I'd be like, well, it must be something she's signed up for buying. So I didn't realize for 7 years that I was paying for his jujitsu class, even though it only went probably 10 times total. He just kept renewing the contract over and over again without me knowing. So
That's
yeah,
standard.
yeah, yep. That's the way they make a
In
living.
that
A lot
world.
of, yep, standard procedure for him. So he did tell me I never got a stripe on my, I went to him like 10 times, and he said I had to start wearing a gi. And I was like, well, I'm only interested in learning like for fighting, not even for MMA necessarily, just a real fight. I don't want to learn gi tricks. And he told me, but if he let people not wear gi, in 2 years, they would learn enough to defend themselves, and they wouldn't need to come to his class. So he can't have that. He has to milk them for years, which
Yeah.
you would think I'm the customer. I should be, if I want to come for 3 months, it should be whatever I want, not what you want. But that's what he basically told me one day. I said, I don't want to learn gi tricks. He kept saying, bro, if these fighters, if they just want to learn jujitsu for 2 years, then I only get to charge them for 2 years. He said, so it's better for me if everybody has to wear gi. And I'm like, okay, that's and then he told me I was going to James Clingerman's MMA. He had
Wait. Hold on.
yeah.
When did you ever talk to him in person about the several years of billing?
Yeah, I actually saw him at LA Fitness and called him out on it, because he was always leaving the state, and he hasn't probably been to Indiana in years. Like he still has a school here, but he's never here.
Okay,
And
so what was his response?
oh, he said he would make it up to me. He would just give me private lessons to make it up. That he had no idea. He would have to look into it. He had no idea it was happening. And I was like, I have a feeling if I wasn't paying and came to your class, you would know, but
Right.
not if I'm, am paying. And he kept saying, bro, just over and over again.
But what did he say?
I,
But how can I charge you? I have a gi. I have a
right.
gi.
Yeah.
I get to
Yeah.
charge.
That's right. It's the amazing thing is Marcelo. I don't know if you guys know Marcelo, but
Of course.
he I always thought he was like, I didn't realize I knew a Brazilian girl that knew him, and she said if you spoke Portuguese, you'd realize he's retarded. She said, but because you don't speak Portuguese, you think it's just a language barrier. But she said he really
Right.
is he's like a jujitsu savant without the ability to understand or teach jujitsu. So it's like it's his only skill, but it's still not very good. But I called him out on. I saw him at LA Fitness. I was like, "Hey, you charged me for 7 years, dude." I said it's like $8,000, and he just kept saying, "Bro, I didn't know, bro. Sorry, bro. I'll check it out. I'll give you your money back." And so I kept like texting him, like, "Dude, am I getting the money back or what?" Because I had found out years later. Like I had no idea. I looked down and I asked my wife at the time. I said, "Do you know what this is? This Winbars Corp? Is this something you're getting?" She goes, "I thought that was something you were buying." And so I call. It's a martial arts school after 7 years of being charged. So he would never return my phone calls, text, was never at his school. So then I finally ran into him somewhere and asked him. He said he would just give me private lessons, or I could have my purple belt, either one. He said he would just give me my purple belt, since I trained under him technically for 7 years. So he also offered me my one stripe brown belt if I would let him corner me against Mark Hunt, if it was on TV. Or no, against Stephan Struve, because he knew it was going to be on TV. He saw me fight against Hunt, and since he knew it was going to be co-main event at UFC 124, he offered me my brown belt if I would let him be in the corner and he was on TV. So he's got real high standards.
Yeah, that's integrity.
Dude. Yeah.
That's
It actually came to head.
wait, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. I'm telling you, Sean, you're obviously really good on the mic. You're very witty. You're charismatic. But I think I've unearthed some things through our research that's going to show the people the layers of just either bullshit or humor or whatever. I think I got it. And that Marcello Montero story is pretty mind-blowing, because like he would bring guys up. I think James Clingerman, who you had mentioned,
Right.
I believe he's a black belt under Montero. I know Braulio Alvarez, or Braulio is, who's got several schools in Northwest Indiana.
Yeah, no, James is actually what caused the problem with me and Marcelo. I submitted James my first class at his school too. When I went to his class one time, submitted him the first day. I was there too. After 10 classes at Marcelo's, and I claim that Marcelo taught me so much, I was able to submit him. But no, I went to James. He was having an MMA class one day a week, and then Marcelo told me I couldn't train two places. I had to choose one, and I was like, okay, well, I choose that. Then you're not going to strong arm me and tell me where I can go or not go, you know. And so that's what broke us up as far as at least not financially, but broke us up as far as the relationship goes. And then yeah, and we were still interconnected forever.
Financially, we'll take your money, but
Jiu-jitsu
you can't train
alimony.
her. Yeah, you can't train her, but I'm
exactly.
gonna take your money. Yeah.
But yeah, him and Clingerman. The funny thing was when Marcelo moved to Indianapolis, he filmed a video of him and James rolling. James was just a purple belt at the time, and James will admittedly say he got the better of him. Marcelo got the better of him because James was new to it and was only 20 years old, I think. And Marcelo used to put that tape playing in his window of his jiu-jitsu academy, just rolling over and over again of him submitting James. And they're like, he had a little 5-minute video of them rolling. He's had it looped over and over again playing in the window of his jiu-jitsu school. And then even had who it was and everything that he was going against in case, you thought about going to Clingerman's. Marcelo had submitted him at some point when he was 20 years old. So
did Clingerman, I was unaware that they had a falling out.
yeah, they were never big fans of each other, but Marcelo had that kid Junior who everyone called Pit Bull, that he was supposed to be like some 17-year-old wizard. Turns out he was just very average. When no one knows jiu-jitsu, you can seem like you're pretty good. You know what I mean? If nobody knows anything about it. But he had been training since he was 12, and he was a 17-year-old kid that was pretty decent. But they would go to the tournaments and talk shit to James here and there, you know what I mean? Just try to say stuff and say that he was the only real Brazilian jiu-jitsu school and James didn't know what he was talking about and this and that. But he would never respond to any of Clingerman's challenges, where they wanted to roll again, or anything like that, or anyone's challenges. But yeah, they would always kind of get into it back and forth, and Marcelo would back down. But James actually fought. He fought Shoney Carter back in the day. At 17, 18 years old, he was fighting in some of those smaller shows and fought some decent dudes. I think he was 9-1 or 10-0, and then got shot in the face.
Oh.
Yeah, had a stoplight one night. A guy pulled up next to him and flipped him off, and James looked over at him like, "What?" The guy just shot him in the face, and for no reason. And so he lost vision in one of his eyes, and never would have compete again, obviously, because he can't lose his other eye. So
Joao Herdy was the phenom who was here in the United States for a few years. I know Brian Garrity beat him. I think Brian Garrity submitted him, and I think he found God and then went back to Brazil to preach. Yeah, Joao was an interesting story. Yeah.
I know he faked an injury when Miguel Torres was at a jiu-jitsu tournament. They were competing and he had to go up with Miguel in the finale, and he faked an injury then and said he couldn't compete. And I remember Miguel being real mad about it. Like, dude, it's just a tournament. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not like it was big stakes like the Karate Kid tournament, like All Valley. But no, it was like he was saying it's just but he didn't want to do it. He said he'd hurt his rib or something. He couldn't compete. So like most of Marcelo's associates, he was full of shit. So.
All right. So you're going to these jiu-jitsu gyms and you're kind of taking the Dave Herman route.
Yeah.
Yeah. This stuff doesn't work. It's just a trick
Right.
as long as you know the solution. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then where do you end up? Like, is your camp with Chris Lytle and those guys over at Integrated?
I was, Marcelo would do nothing but badmouth those guys and say they teach themselves. They don't know anything about jiu-jitsu. They don't know anything about fighting.
Meanwhile, which is somewhat true.
Right. At the time, they didn't really have an instructor. Other than Jason Godsey had kind of showed him some stuff he learned back in the day. And I would watch Marcelo roll with Lytle, and he couldn't do anything with Chris. Which I couldn't either. Chris Lytle's the only guy I think I've ever rolled with on multiple occasions who I never even got close to submitting. Like there's nothing, I could not ever do anything with him. No matter what you do, he would get out of it somehow. And he was really unorthodox. So a lot of times you expect him to roll one way, he goes the other way, and it completely throws you off. Like it just completely,
Here's a side note. So Chris and I used to do a lot of commentary at MMA events together, and we would have people respectfully afterward, like we'd be back for a second event. Excuse me, Mr. Lytle, I got to talk to you something. What you're saying a fighter should do to get out of something isn't right. It's not true. And it's just that, it's like, I don't want to tell you that. And Chris is like, well, it's worked for me,
The 50 Fight Club member.
50 fights.
Right.
Yeah, it's very non-traditional. Yeah.
He would too. Chris is to this day the toughest person, not maybe the most skilled, but the toughest guy I've ever trained with. He would spar with heavyweight professional boxers at 175 pounds. Would go in there. He said he would never cut to 155 because he felt like it was a bitch move to cut weight to fight smaller guys, so he would fight at, his natural walking weight. But At some point, I'm guessing it's going to catch up with him. Man, he took head trauma. Like I used to think out all the time, like that is not me. Whatever he's got, I don't have that, like in me. That just the balls, man, to never ever give in or never quit.
So he had an MRI done, and his skull is twice the thickness of the average human.
Yeah, that would
It's
explain a little
true.
bit of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I asked him one time, I'd sparred with Jake's brother, Josh O'Brien, who's twin brother, who's a pretty good boxer at the time. I mean, yeah,
Quarterfinalists, multiple. I think he won nationals at one point,
yeah,
right?
he's pretty good. Yeah.
Golden
So
Glove, Golden Glove
we,
nationals. Yeah.
we had sparred and I had a headache for 3 days after. Like it was hurting. And I asked Lytle, I said, dude, you ever spar and not really seem like you get hit that hard, but you have a headache for like days after? And he goes, no. And I was like, well, that's not good. You know what I mean? Because I saw him spar with he would spar with Josh, and when he's going with a guy that much bigger than him, 70 pounds heavier than him, he could swing full force. So him and Josh would really go at it. And to answer your question, I guess I got way off track. Yeah, Marcelo told me to stay away from those guys. I trained with them one time because Jake was getting ready to fight. They want some bigger guys to move in with him, to move around with him. And I had trained probably 6 or 8 times at Marcelo's, and I realized I wasn't learning anything that was going to do me any good against a guy who actually knew how to fight. With Jake, because I couldn't. I mean, didn't have a gi to grab onto, so I didn't. I was used to a collar grip, a sleeve grip, all this and that. Because when I started going, like I would go the full 2 hour class, and I kind of get obsessed with things. I would watch YouTube videos at night. I would just, like study, and so like I couldn't do anything with Jake. Like 20-year-old kid whipping my ass, and I was 28 years old in decent shape, probably 315 pounds, like in pretty decent shape, and realized I'll never become a fighter. I didn't want to necessarily become a fighter, but I was like, I'll never really learn how to fight train with Marcelo because it's all just gi bullshit. That if a guy's not, unless you're fighting in 1500s Japan, good luck, where they're wearing those outfits. So I want to start training with those guys. Then Marcelo act like he was butthurt about it, that oh yeah, you're like everybody else. You leave me after 3 weeks of classes. But yeah, so I started training with them, and then that's when Jake was telling me, he's like, dude, if you learned how to fight, you could actually be really good. I was like, you guys are out of your minds. You know what I mean? Like I would never, ever do that. Certainly, it's not certainly not when you got big money like I had at the time. You got a couple $1 million in the bank, you're a lot less likely to fight for $100 at the Second Saloon. But
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
true.
doesn't
It's
sound that
true.
appealing. But
It's true. And like the one thing you're so the first time on record, I'm like 90% sure I was at this October 21st, 2005. You fight Steve Paulson. I think you weighed 330 at this fight.
might have, yeah. He probably weighed 530. He was horrendous. They tricked him, Dustin Neese, if you guys remember him,
Of
tricked him
course.
tricked him into fighting me by trying to impress some girls and getting him to sign the contract because they couldn't find anybody that wanted to fight me for $100.
Yeah.
Which I didn't blame them either. But they just found some guy who had no ability, no anything. I was humiliated after the fight. Like I felt horrible. Before the fight, he came up to me and said, "Dude, are you gonna like really try to hurt me like tonight?" And I was like, "Dude." Like I've like as mean as I can be on the internet, I actually am pretty empathetic and have a big heart toward people. So I was like, dude, yeah, I mean that's the name of the game. He's like, dude, I don't even know what I'm doing. They just tricked me into doing this. And so I thought he wasn't gonna fight. Like I was sure he wasn't gonna fight. Like he was gonna back out. And then right as it came up to it, I was hoping he would because I didn't want to hurt him, and I for sure didn't want to get beat up by him if I didn't know what I was doing. But I kept thinking, dude, I don't want to hurt this dude. But I went out there, and then you get out there, see my mom, my dad out there, everybody out there was like, dude, it is what it is. I'm gonna have to hurt this dude because I'm not trying to get
Yeah.
beat up in front of all these people. So went out and watching it now, I cringe when I watch it now. How slow, like plotting I look, like just retarded and trying to take him down and just start punching him in the face. But it did not. It seemed like I was moving a lot faster than I was if I watch it back. Like it was embarrassing. So
Yeah. So the scene at the 8 Second Saloon was like, it was special. It was special. Could we agree on that?
it was like Roadhouse. Yeah, the Roadhouse without Patrick Swayze, pretty much. And
Yeah.
yeah, clientele out there was something else, man. That was nasty environment, really, but one of all its own. It was very Indiana.
You came out with the nickname the Hater.
Yeah, I'd always wanted to be a bad, like a pro wrestling bad guy. Like in my mind, I loved it that Ric Flair would brag all the time and talk about how great he was, and The Rock same way. And I always thought that no one likes a hater. So I had on my Facebook at the time that I was a recovering hater, like 3 months sober. I would say that because I just thought it was funny, and so I would always say I was the hater, so everybody would boo me. I called myself the Tanned Adonis for a while, except I realized that everybody in Indiana is too stupid to know who Adonis is, like the Greek god, or whatever, with the
Mhm.
perfect body. So I was trying to come up with anything to make people not like me. And then it finally worked later on the UFC when I fought Stephan Struve. And when they booed me, it hurt my feelings. Like I came out and 20,000 people are booing me. I was like, dude, my kids are watching this, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Like
How dare you?
Yeah, I
Shame
wasn't
on you,
comfortable.
people.
Yeah, I had played it up so well. They actually thought I was a dick. So I was like, I didn't like being the bad guy then. So that was
Yeah.
surprising.
All right. So I also had heard you had trained with Tom Erickson at one point.
Yeah, if that's what you call it. It's more like getting gorilla raped. But yeah, it's Matt Mitrione talked me into that. And I'd asked Jake O'Brien because Jake wrestled at Purdue where Tom was a coach. And he kept telling me like Mitrione's like, dude, you're gonna go up here and get your manhood taken. Like he could beat you literally with one arm. And I knew Tom from Pride and stuff, and I knew he was a monster, but I was like, dude, at the time I was juiced. I mean, I was on everything you could be on, you know what I mean? HGH, Anavar, Winstrol, everything. And I was 315 pounds, and this is after I was in the UFC, obviously. I kept saying it was right before I fought Hunt, and I was like, dude, I'm sure he'll manhandle me, but nobody's gonna embarrass me. I don't care who it is. Because I trained with Tim Sylvia at that point. I trained with some other big heavyweights, I was like, nobody's gonna embarrass me. And Mitrione just kept saying, just watch, just watch. And I asked Jake, and Jake said, I trained with him for a year and a half. I never took him down even once. He said, never even close. So I was like, okay, we'll see. So I get up there, and first thing we walk in, Mitrione goes, hey, he said he's a better wrestler than you. You can't do shit with him. Like, just try and you'll see what happens. And I was like, dude, I didn't say that. Tom had never met me. We never met each other. I was like, dude, I didn't say that. And I saw Tom, the little gleam in his eye. He's like, really? I said, dude, I did not say that. And it was he wanted to show me how pitiful I was by he was get me in the collar tie with one arm and just took me down by grabbing the back of my head and leaning my head over and set me down with one arm like 4 or 5 times in a row. Like I do nothing. I was just sitting there like oh God, like then he grabbed me. And he snapped my head down one time, cross faced me and picked me up what would have been a guillotine, but it was really his forearm across my nose, like picked me up, and I'm like tapping with both hands. And so you didn't really learn a lot other than to stay away from Tom when you're trying to train. But Matt one time said, hey, when we come in today, let's jump him. And I was like, dude, I don't know if that's a good idea. He says, get him down, see if we can submit him, like both of us. So we come in there, and Matt kind of goes around behind him. And I'm like, yeah, we're talking. I go to grab him like when he's not ready. And he submitted us both, like literally threw me down, grabbed Matt. Matt's trying to run away at that point, gets Matt some kind of ankle lock, like twists it and turns it. Matt taps. I was like, dude, I'm good. And then Tom shoots a double on me and continues to I know Jake did tell me, well, the first time I went up there, he said, do not get double underhooks on him, it's a trick. And I didn't know enough about fighting that time. I thought you wanted double underhooks, and it was just what you trained instinctively to do. So he pins me up against the wall as we're training up Purdue's wrestling room, and I get double underhooks. I was like, dude, I'm about to take down Tom Erickson. Like I really thought I could get him off his feet. So I, get my hands locked behind him, and I go to pick him up, and instead he just suplexes me, like overhooks both, and then drops back with suplex and throws me and lets me go while I'm in the air. And I slide like 10 feet across the mat, like hit the thing, knocks the wind out of me or whatever. I was like, I remember at that point, that was the trick. That must've been that Jake was talking about. Don't get double underhooks.
That's what I was told.
Yeah.
If Bruce Bobgardner would have gone into the NFL, Tom Erickson would have been an Olympic champion.
That's what, everyone says that's the only guy that could beat him. And guys that Baumgartner couldn't beat, Erickson could beat, but it was just whatever reason, the one guy he couldn't.
Yeah, they said the silver medalist was second string on the USA team. That's what they had said.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
And it's like even guys like Coleman and Randleman, guys hardcore wrestlers. You mentioned Erickson's name, it's you know what I mean? Like the little chatter, it stops at that point.
It's I asked Tom, it was funny because I'd always ask him, how would you do with this guy? How would you do with that guy? And Tom doesn't like to talk shit, but Tom would always be like, I like my chances. I like my chances with that. And I guess he went with Cain Velasquez one time when Cain was either the heavyweight champ or close to it in the UFC, and they just rolled a little bit or whatever. And whoever was there said Tom was fucking him up for the first 6 minutes. He said just completely manhandling him, throwing him around. But then he said he got obviously tired because Cain will just wear you down, just going over and over and over again on shots. But yeah, I don't know anybody who's ever gotten the better of a fresh Tom Erickson, including Josh Barnett said the same thing. Don Fry was wrestled under him, I think, at Oklahoma State for a year when Erickson was assistant coach there. But Don told me, he said, dude, he used to bounce my head off the floor like a basketball. He said, just completely and Tom takes joy in it too. Like he takes joy in just straight manhandling everybody, So
yeah, John Fitch also said, it's like, nah, dude, I've seen grown men have tears in their eyes, like with an old Tom Erickson. Yeah.
I said forever, man, if he was able to train at the time, I can't imagine how good he was when he was in his 20s, because at 44, 46 years old, whatever he was, I was late one time coming up there and had tried to call him repeatedly to tell him I was stuck in traffic. There's nothing I could do. And I didn't know him very well. So I get up there and he's got kind of a mad look on his face come walking in. And he said he wants to get right into rolling, like right into show me something. So I'm like, okay, dude, he beat the shit out of me. I mean, he was meaner than he needed to be on everything. So after 30 minutes of kicking my ass, he goes, yeah, maybe next time you'll show me some more respect and at least call me if you're going to be late. And I was like, Tom, I called you like 100 times, dude. And he went over and checked his phone. He goes, oh, you did. I'm sorry. Or whatever. I was like, what the like after you beat the shit out of me for 30 minutes? Because I was actually kind of getting mad at one point. I was like, dude, you don't have to snap my head down so hard. You don't like, you're obviously better than me. But he, yeah, he was, I couldn't do anything. Couldn't even, nothing. Could not try to give him an arm bar. Couldn't do anything. He would just grab your head like with the can opener and pull your head toward it if you tried to lock up your guard or do anything, and you had to let him pass. But if he could do it, I think full time and do it over again at his age, I think he'd have beat almost anybody. I've never seen a guy that can move like that at that size. Like nobody.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big cat. And Dave Herman was one of your training partners.
Yeah, about 3 times ever. Dave would always, he was the laziest person I've ever known in my life. Like the rumor was, whether it's true or not, the rumor was he told the coach he went and wrestled. He wrestled in high school and was either state champion or pretty high up with never practicing, never training. So they set up an IU's wrestling room. This is what, I don't remember who was up there that Kurt Kinzer or somebody told me this that was up there at the time when Herman was up there, said that he told that he was up there wrestling around with their heavyweights after practice one day, just playing around. It was getting the better of everybody. If nothing else, his defensive wrestling was amazing. He's such a great athlete. And they asked him if he was interested in wrestling. He said, only if I don't have to come to practice. I would be on the wrestling team, but I don't want to practice. And they said that he got that agreement. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But I know he finished like the top 7 his junior or senior year or something in the nation without ever going to practice. They said without ever he just refused to. He did tell me one time. I tried to tell him I was probably. This is before I got in the UFC, so I was probably 32, which would have left him being about probably 23 or so. And I told him, I said, Dave, I said, listen, take it from an old dude who I still had not really planned on fighting necessarily this time or go anywhere with it. I said, dude, take it from a dude that used to be young and athletic. It goes away fast. Like you're such a great athlete, 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds, just ripped muscle, doesn't lift weights, doesn't anything. He did a backflip out of a single leg one time in a jiu-jitsu tournament just to see if he could get out of it that way, and then actually landed it and got out of the just crazy athlete. And he was like, well, dude, I'll be honest with you. If they got me a UFC fight, I'd put in a solid 2-week training camp. And he was dead serious. He goes, I don't mind putting in a solid 2 weeks, but I got to be getting paid to do it. And I was just thinking, like, this dude is out of his mind. But I told him it wouldn't work once he got to the higher levels. He thought I was wrong. But I said, dude, you get up there with those guys, it ain't that athleticism kind of, like evens out at that point.
At least a 4-week camp.
Right. Yeah. At least 4 to 5 if you're gonna do that. But it's
in between, don't worry about it. But 4 weeks before the fight. Yeah.
I used to always tell him I wish I had whatever the UFC liked about him. Like his first fight, he got fight of the night, his first fight in the UFC, it was just him and some guy who wasn't very good throwing wild punches at each other. Like it wasn't that great a fight. But I didn't get submission the night when I broke Hunt's arm. I didn't get submission the night. And there was only one other submission the entire night, and I didn't get consideration for it. And then I win 1, lose 2, and they cut me and never want anything to do with me again. Herman wins 1, loses like 6 in a row in the UFC. They love him, can't get enough of him. You know what I mean? Just keep bringing him back or whatever. So it's, I don't know what, that's why he's telling him, I don't know whose dick you're sucking, but let me know because I'd like to get
I'm in.
I'm in. I used to say that about Matt Mitrione too. I'm like, dude, I don't know who you're sleeping with at the UFC, but how do you get to fight Kimbo and Tim Hague and everybody who's a horrible fighter that was barely UFC level? They would match up with Mitrione. I was like, I don't know how you, like, they're giving me Mark Hunt, Stephan Struve back to back for my first 2. You know what I mean? Like that's not.
Morecraft's no joke either. Morecraft's no joke.
No,
either.
Dude,
he's not.
I actually begged not to fight him.
He's tough.
The only other fight he had in the UFC, he was mopping Struve and then got caught with a wild right hand, But I said at the time, no one knows who he is. And he's just like me, big, strong, athletic, but he's not going to get tired. He's only 24 years old or 23. And then they said, well, you can just fight, who was Shane Carwin instead. I said, okay, like that's better for me. If I lose, at least I lost to Shane Carwin. And they said Carwin said the same thing about me. Nobody knows who he is, and I don't do any good to beat him. You know what I mean? So he must not have been on the internet at the time.
Yeah. Okay. So Jason Johnson, December 9th, 2005 is your second fight. You were a big ticket seller.
Yes. Yeah. Mostly because I think everybody wanted to see me get beat up, but I didn't know it at that time. Like everybody, all my quote unquote friends was like, oh, that guy thinks he's tough, whatever, and want to see me get my ass kicked. So,
and then Robert Hogan was after that on the King of the Cage card.
Yeah. Those were actually the the Jason Johnson, he tried to leave right before the fight started. He was some 38-year-old dude. He goes, "But dude, my son's sick. If we don't fight right now, I got to go home." I'm like, "Dude, I've got 200 people here. You can't leave." You know what I mean? I was like, it was a King of the Cage, I think, or maybe King of the Cage or Battleground. I can't remember. I said, "Dude, don't, no, you can't." So
Oh, Jason
they
Johnson was Legends of Fighting.
no, that was King of the Cage at the Marat downtown. Yeah, that was a
I,
Monty Cox card
I,
against
th-
Jason Johnson.
I thought Robert Hogan.
Robert
Oh
Hogan
wait,
was the King of the Cage.
yeah,
King of the Cage. Yeah.
okay, I'm getting the two confused. They were both
Yeah.
so good. It's hard to confuse them sometimes. But
Yeah.
they yeah. So the Robert Hogan guy. So the Jason Johnson tried to leave right before the fight. The Robert Hogan guy, I picked him up and slammed him, and the first thing he said to me, no one had ever talked to me before during the fight. He goes, "Dude, you are really strong." And I was like, "Oh God," like again, like I felt bad, or whatever. He was like, "Take it easy on me," like saying shit like that. And so I end up, I don't know, posture up, swung, hit him a couple times, knocked him out. And at that point, you're so nervous when you're new to it. I just wanted the fight over. Like I just didn't. I saw he was hurt, so I just started swinging crazy, trying to, get the ref to step in. But I bounced his head off the floor probably 6 times after he was out. They pull me off, and I stand up, and he starts like throwing up, like he's knocked out, but he starts throwing up and shaking, having like convulsions. And I thought, oh
Oh,
no, like I thought I had killed him, man. I was like, dude, oh no. And I'm walking back and forth, and everybody said I looked like I was pacing back and forth, wanting to punch him again. I was going to throw up, man. I was like, I cannot believe, like I shouldn't be doing this to people. These guys aren't qualified to be fighting. Like I shouldn't be. Not like I want to get beat up, but I shouldn't be fighting guys that don't have business in there. Any business being in there with me. So
yeah,
that
yeah,
one,
but you were in a strange position though, because you were super heavyweight, but you carried it well.
right?
And 265 was almost impossible to make for you.
Yeah, that's no fun for sure.
You know what I mean? So it was kind of like you were too big for most of the guys that were qualified that would do it. And then the guys that were around your size just probably shouldn't have been in there.
Right. That's the truth. Yeah. I remember even back Fedor, I agreed 3 different times to fight Fedor, and I probably would have lost, but this is after I was in the UFC. But all 3 times Fedor Camp said I was just too big. He's just too big for a guy Fedor's size,
Hmm.
5'10, 230 pounds. And Arlovsky turned me down twice too, which I thought was the funniest thing in the world because he would have beat me at the time too, but I could go around saying he was afraid of me, so that
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
worked out. I could claim that I technically had victories over them.
Oh,
So
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Default
so
wins. You had
right.
default wins.
Moral victory.
Right. Yeah. So I would post the article like Arlovsky camp turns down McCorkle. That'd be all over my Twitter, all over everywhere. I'd be like, well, try to fight somebody good. I don't know what to tell you guys, man. Like he's everybody's afraid of me.
Hmm.
So
And then Justin Wade was right after that, December 8th, 2006. Like the thing that you're doing is you're fighting like as often as possible.
yeah. What I thought at the time, I thought if I can get to 17 or 18-0, even if it's against homeless guys, it doesn't really matter because the UFC will eventually give me a shot.
That's true.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I'd already made big money. So I was like, I'm not going to fight. I was going to fight strictly just to be able to say I made it to the UFC. And at that time, you guys remember Chris Price, Johnny Reese, a lot of them 170, 185-pound fighters. You just get to 8 or 9-0. Doesn't matter who you fought. If you look decent physically, they would give you a shot, and they'll take you and get your ass kicked, but to build someone else up. But they were that was like the formula. So I thought I get to 15 or 16-0, and as I do it, I'll get better, obviously train, and then maybe I'll have a chance of winning. When I get there, at least doing well. Just my plan was to fight in the UFC one time, and I was never going to fight again. Probably should have stuck with that after my first win. But yeah, I wanted to
Out on a high
just fight
note.
one time. Yeah, I thought,
Yeah.
dude, I really thought about that when I fought Hunt. I thought that would be amazing if I just didn't fight anymore and be like, well, we'll never know how good I could have
Yeah.
been.
Yeah, let's get there. Let's get there. I guess because there's a couple strange things in regards to Hunt as well that are pretty funny.
Yeah.
So December 31st, 2006, I remember when Keith Palmer did this, I did not go. Jeremy Norton was your opponent. He had a New Year's Eve card, and it was, from what I understand, it was packed.
Yeah, it was. Yep, full. Yeah, it was yeah, fighting on New Year's Eve, and I couldn't stand that tiny Norton dude. To this day, I can't stand that dude. He yeah, I thought he was way better than he was. He was like 10-4, had never beat anyone even decent. He could take a beating for a 400-pound guy, but yeah, he to this day he still tells people he beat me, that it was rigged, which it wasn't even close. But my only decision fight at that point, I think.
Yeah. I remember him just like yelling about the controversy. But then you take a few months off,
Well, I dislocated my shoulder in that fight against Norton. The first 30 seconds, I throw a right hand, my shoulder comes out of socket and breaks. Like completely, like shoulders out of socket, arm breaks up high, like my whatever that is, your tibia or fibula, what I don't know, whatever your arm is up high, it breaks in half up there. And so I back up. We're 30 seconds in. I look over at my arm. I'm the only one that has a copy, out to my knowledge, of the fight. I still have a DVD of it, but I back up and look at my arm. It's just hanging there, and I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. I figured it was broken. So I continued to fight him for 3 5-minute rounds with it broken out of socket. Just I couldn't stand the thought of him celebrating and winning. Like I just was anybody, a real good fighter, I probably would have quit because I knew I was probably at that point you're risking your future health, with your something dislocated. And I actually need a shoulder replacement for it. I got checked about 6 months ago. They said my ball joint is completely broken in half now and just hanging there of my shoulder. My shoulder hurts all the time. I did get $300 for that fight though. So yeah, definitely worth long-term damage. Yeah. So
well, I mean that your ticket commission would probably put you, maybe just over 1,000, which is great.
Yeah. Especially when you're sitting on $2 million. But it was funny at that time. My health insurance told me that they were no longer covering ultimate fighting injuries. Like that's what I got a notice saying that they were going to do that because I kept getting hurt, like in fights, and go to the doctor, or go that night I went to the ER. They had to put my shoulder back. Actually, Doc Keeler put my shoulder back in after the fight. But I've never been through pain like that. Well, not many times in my life through pain like that, fighting with it out and just using my left hand, which is even more ridiculous that I beat his ass with just my left, literally with one arm. And beat him. But I pass out multiple times in the fight. If you watch the video, I pass out when I'm like on his back, and I just will pass out just laying there like on his back because of my, the pain in my shoulder. And I just kept fighting. I just knew that's when I learned I really wouldn't quit no matter what. I was like, I just don't have it in. I'm too prideful. Like pride has been the downfall of almost everything in my life where I really lost something I cared about, but that was the only thing that's ever come in handy. Being that prideful is not, not quitting when you're fighting. I just couldn't stand the thought of his fat ass jumping around celebrating that he beat me, because I was undefeated at the time. He was saying he was going to beat me. And he, to this day, says he won the fight, which is ridiculous. But that's why I took a lot of time off after that because my shoulder was so bad. I tried to rehab it. It was really never the same again, for sure.
And right around this time, you also joined the underground format. It may have been a little previous to this, but you became kind of like a notorious poster on one of the greatest message boards of mixed martial arts history.
Yeah, a lot of people, the only thing that equates or close to it is the Reddit page about the fire and the kid now. Is the same kind of group of guys, But during that time, Scott Tuggle he was a local fighter here. He made an account for me under my name and started talking shit all the time as me. And I had no idea. I didn't know what the underground forum was. I'd never heard of any of it. And so he was saying stuff like,
if I may interject, Scott Tuggle talked shit for a lot of people under their names. Tuggle was phenomenal at it. He had several different logins for different people and would help them promote themselves. So go ahead.
But he was making me, claiming that I could run a 4.3 40. And just constant, like no matter what it was, talking shit. And so I saw how it caught on, and he thought I was going to be mad about it. And I was like, dude, it's funny. So I went ahead and got the login information, and I continued it on, just started being the ridiculous character because I thought it was funny, assuming everyone would know it was a joke. But a lot of people didn't. Like I challenged Kimbo Slice at the time to a fight, legitimately, because I knew I could beat him in a fight. Like maybe not boxing, but I knew I could beat him. And I challenged him to a fight, and I had got a hold of his camp, told him I'd bet 50 grand on myself in an MMA fight. And they're like, well, he doesn't fight real fighters. I was like, yeah, I know. I've seen the videos. That's what I'm saying. Like I'll bet in. So when they wouldn't do it, of course, I post that on the underground, like, well, there's one guy Kimbo won't fight, and then I challenged Josh Barnett to a fight, never thinking he would ever see it, like ever. And I put it on the underground, and Josh Barnett's 7th post ever, he's like, don't know who you are, don't care, but if you want it, you can come get it, says it back to me. And so then I put stipulations no one would ever agree to. Like we have to bet $250,000 cash, and this money's got to be in escrow, and I have a camera crew there, and I'm the only one that can have a copy of things no one would ever agree to, ever, And then when he's like, and then so Barnett's like, I'm not doing that stupid. I was like, that's what I thought, that's what I thought. Exactly what I thought.
Got another one. One.
So that's why I tell people, just more or less default win against Barnett too.
You got another default win. Right.
I would just, every time anything like that would happen, I challenge someone to something they would never agree to. And then I'd be like, okay, well, like our money, I know they didn't have the money. I challenge people to a $500,000 fight. I didn't have $500,000 to do it at the time either, but I knew they wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? So it's just like they would have to back down. I'd be like, okay, well, let me know if you change your mind. And,
they didn't have it, but you had access to Photoshop. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Same way. I took a picture with Matt Mitrione one time and I was standing on a medicine ball. So I looked like I was 10 inches taller than him, but you could not tell from the video. We angled it right and everything. So I was way bigger than him in the video or the picture. So people would be like, how big is that dude, man? Like I had a legend going on, like Andre the Giant back in the day. When he would stand next to Vince McMahon on something. But I remember Ben Rothwell when I met him at UFC 120 something. We were sitting next to each other, and he said, "Dude, I thought you were like 7'5" or something." He goes, "You're barely my height." And I was like, "Dude, it's all don't believe what you hear on the internet, or whatever." I'd always give him a hard time. But yeah, I had for a while. I had a legend going there for a while, and would have Mitrione would always to be funny. Always tell stories about how I kicked three heavyweights asses in a row, like some of the best guys. Like, dude, he fucks everybody up. If he ever decides to take it serious, and it was all lies, but I didn't care. It was just funny to me, so I didn't really. It was just trolling. I thought I invented trolling, but
it was great. Like it was high comedy. In fact, at some point, I mean, I'm going to apologize up front. I thought Tuggle was still using your account. I'm like, there's no fucking way this guy's that funny. I go, there's no way this guy's that quick because I know Tuggle. I remember him. And I go, that guy, like you couldn't fuck with. I go, you start with Tuggle, which is funny. And then it's like, it's escalating up. I'm like, what are the odds of somebody faking an account for somebody else? And they're funnier than the original troll that did it.
Yeah. That's, I remember I'll never forget Chaz.
Like I called bullshit. I 100% called bullshit. Yeah.
Chaz Bowling got a hold of me and was like, dude, I don't know if you know this or not, but somebody's posted you online. I was like, no, that's actually me. And he was like, wait, that's actually you. I said, well, it didn't used to be, but it is now. And I thought it was the funniest thing ever because everyone knew me as like a nice guy or whatever, but I had an alter ego on the internet. It's so easy on the internet to be a dick, or whatever. Yeah. So I had this alter ego where I took out all my frustration on the people on the internet and was pretty witty. I got real hard to beat in written word. Like if maybe not, like matching wits just in person, not as good. But if I have time to think about it and time to like write a book review or something, there's no telling what I could come up with if I have time to actually think about it.
Yeah. So Joey, he fights James Ferguson. At this point, like his internet persona is in full gear.
Right.
And like he's got challenge matches out to all these guys. They're not agreeing, and he's showing you how. And after the James Ferguson win, he buys the Matt Hughes book that comes
Made
out.
in America.
Yeah.
Would you like to open up on that?
Me or him?
You, dude. It's
one of the
greatest. It's the thread is still in existence on people took it and put it on Reddit so it never go away.
It's the funny thing was at that time I would get banned from the underground constantly they always had a rule. You can't say anything on there you wouldn't say to someone's face. And so I told the guy who owns it, the Hear It guy, said, dude, there's not anything I would ever say I wouldn't say to people's faces. Like, I'm not afraid of a 150-pound fighter, like they don't scare me. So I was like, and so he was like, well, if you're a pro fighter and as long as you don't put anything you wouldn't say to their face, it's like, none of these guys scare me. I've got a gun too. So like, it's not, somebody's gonna kick my ass. Cool. I got a gun in my car. So I win no matter what, as long as they're not willing to murder me. And if they don't have $500,000 to bet me. So I figured it would never make it. I read his book, and as I started reading it, I was like, this can't be. It was like a scandalous book someone would write about you trying to ruin your life, but he's proud of it. Like everything, he's like proud of cheating on his wife, proud of pissing at a bar when he's acting like he's getting a drink, like proud of bullying kids, like all the things you would never like be proud of. So proud of mutilating baby pigs, like on the farm and thinking it's funny. So I decided, I was like, this will never make it. But I said, I made a thread called Made in America, Made Easy. And I was like, from all the frat posts on here, I guess you guys aren't big readers. So I'm going to go ahead and do you a favor. I'm going to review Matt's book and summarize it for you. And so I took every part of it and made it just a little worse than it was. So like he said that one of his friends died or one of his friends couldn't read, like in college. And so I said that he was making fun of one of his friends not being able to read. So he never did that.
Well, you went chapter by chapter.
Yeah, with each one, I would do a summary. Like chapter 1, Matt talks about what repulsive little brats him and Mark were growing up on the farm. Like things like just and a lot of it was true, but I took it like a just the nastiest turn you could take on every single thing. So I post the first 3 chapters, and then I didn't know how many enemies Matt Hughes had, including the moderators on the underground, because I didn't get banned, I didn't get paused, I didn't get anything. Everybody's like more. So go ahead.
Wait, Joey. So he posts these 3 chapters just thinking, it's like a one-off post. And I'm done with this book. Like I'm done. This dude's such a dick. And then everyone's like, well, wait a minute. I'm not fucking reading that. No. You keep reading and keep giving us summaries. And dude, it was probably, I don't want to lie, over 10,000 posts.
Yeah, at least.
Over 10,000 like people
10,000
going.
views.
No.
Oh, 10,000 people commenting on it.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It had
Yes.
been read I came down the next morning after my first 5 chapters or 6 chapters I wrote. I came down, it had been visited the page 750,000 times, like that it had been
Wow.
seen. It would keep how many views. And I was like, and it was linked to some article in Yahoo Sports, or whatever. I was like, oh shit. And I started thinking, should I just delete it? Because like some of the stuff I was writing wasn't true. But then I thought, he'll live, or whatever. So it's, I didn't really I thought Matt Hughes was a prick at the time. So I was like, yeah, that's the breaks. And so I just went ahead and, like anything else, I had one of two directions to go. I decided to go even further with it, and start really ramping it up on him. So it went from a 5-page synopsis of a chapter, or a 5-sentence synopsis of a chapter, to, a 30-paragraph thing about what happened in this chapter.
Yeah.
Every single thing on there just completely critiqued or judged, or just every possible thing that I could think to insult him.
So Joey, the people that were reading thousands of comments that could have finished the book just based on them reading what other people were saying, we're like, no, I'm not reading this. No. Keep reading, Sean. We are demanding.
we want your take on it.
Yeah, your book review. Yeah.
I was at one point, I was in Florida on vacation, and they were like, dude, what happened? You're only on chapter 12. And I didn't have the book with me. I drove to Barnes and Noble and read chapter 13 and made notes and stuff just so I could post on the underground later. This is before smartphones, this before anything. So I had to go use the hotel computer and the little office thing to type up my next chapter. While I was on vacation, and they were begging for it. It
was so good. It was so good.
I had later in Chicago, after I signed with the UFC a couple weeks before I fought Mark Hunt, I was in Chicago for some reason. I don't remember why. This guy lets me skip this line to go into a club or bar or something I was meeting somebody at. And I was like, he said, oh, McCorkle, I got you. Come on in. I was like, dude, word travels fast. I haven't even fought in the UFC yet. This guy must know that I'm getting ready to fight Mark Hunt in the UFC. And I was talking to him for a second. He goes, dude, I love you on the underground, this and that. I said, yeah, I can't believe I finally made it to the UFC. He's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I'm getting ready to fight in the UFC. He goes, dude, you are? And I said, yes. I thought you were just trolling. I said, no, I'm actually going to get fight in the UFC. I said, I thought that's why you were letting me skip the line in. He goes, no, I'm letting you skip it for the Matt Hughes book review. He goes, that's the best shit I've read in my life. So like, that's what I was known for. And to this day, I would go to UFC events. I used to hear Matt Hughes book review. People would yell it out. Like when I was taking pictures with people or whatever, I was like, I'm still more known for that than anything. Like that'll be on my, that'll be my gravestone. Like
it was so good.
It was crazy.
Every little tragic incident that happens in Matt Hughes's life, that gets brought up again and links to it. Like the underground forum is no more. It's called theonlyground.com right now. That's where those, yeah, dude, it's really good. It's still good. I mean, it's still kind of crazy in certain instances, but some absolute brilliance there. And
I stopped posting on there after when I fought Struve and lost. I couldn't post anything without people attacking me. No matter, I'd be like, hey, did you guys watch fights this weekend? Dude, fuck you. You lost to Stephan Struve. You suck. Like every single person, like no matter what I do, just be like 100 responses like that. So I was just like, dude, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like it's not, no wonder no real fighters go on here anymore,
Right. So after James Ferguson, you take 2 years off.
Yeah. I'd had back surgery at that time. Yeah, I had back surgery. I'd hurt my shoulder against the one dude, against Tiny, and then I fought Ferguson like 8 months later with my shoulder still messed up, and decided I didn't want to do it anymore. My back had really, really been hurting me, and then I like an idiot, got talked into having back surgery by some idiot surgeon who almost killed me, literally almost killed me during the surgery. Poked a hole in my spinal cord. I had a spinal fluid leak. Like I was in surgery for 12 hours. Just for a microdiscotomy, not even a major back surgery, as minor as back surgery can be, I guess. And had to be rehospitalized 2 weeks later with a spinal fluid leak. Just literally almost killed me. And so I was done. I was like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. Get divorced then. Found out my girlfriend since we were 6 years old. Got married as virgins. We grew up in church together, got married as virgins at 19. I'm a retired 28-year-old multimillionaire. She never worked. She was a stay-at-home mom before we had kids. Like just stayed home and spent money all day long, went to the pool, got her hair and nails done, never had a job, never did anything. Planned our divorce for 2 years because she just wasn't happy, she said. So she gets me fucked every way you can be fucked. Like, I mean, she got into a safety deposit box I had with $250,000 cash in it that I never told her I had. Like, I never, ever told her I had it there. My mom knew I had it. I knew I had it. I had a safety deposit key on my key ring with 60 other keys because I had 12 rental properties. So I have all these other keys. She's so slick. She noticed that key of the 40 keys on my key ring, thought that must be a safety deposit key, took it off there, went to every bank within a 10-mile radius of my house because I didn't do it at my normal bank I bank at. I did it's a completely separate bank, and found the safe deposit, had them let her in, even though her name was specifically on there that she could not get in without a death certificate. They let her in anyway, but she got me every way you can be gotten. She collected rent from all my rental houses, didn't pay any of the payments. Like got the checks, cashed them, let everything went in foreclosure. I had no idea. I didn't open one piece of mail the entire 13 years we were married, not one time. She was organized. She kept track of all that. She had a line of credit in my name that her friend that's a notary notarized when that's back when credit was easy in 2007, 2008. If you have an 820 credit score at that time, they weren't, they would loan you whatever. So she had, dude, hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt in my name I didn't know about. Like just absolutely, like just got me to take her to Beverly Hills to Dr. 90210, that guy from that TV show, to get breast implants, which was part of her exit strategy too. I had no idea. I was like, why do you need breast implants all of a sudden at 32 years old? And why do you need like I had no idea. I'm so dumb. I didn't see it coming. But I went basically overnight from being a retired millionaire to having nothing, like a jar of quarters on the refrigerator, like had nothing. And my kids were devastated. Just I had no plans, no ideas. And at that point, I think I was 7 or 8-0 at that point. And then I realized I was like, dude, I literally no credit, no money, no anything. I didn't have a house I was going to live in. Like my own, I had to be out of my own house, a custom house I built her 3/4 mile from her, 3/4 mile from her parents' house. I never went to that house, built her that house. I had 17 days to be out of it by the time I found out this was going on. So I'm like 17 days to be out of the house that I built for her, or whatever. And so she got me everywhere you can be gotten. So I just thought, man, I don't have anything left to lose. I know I can still make $1,500 or $2,000 to fight at a local show, you know what I mean, or whatever. I was like, to me, that's better going working at Best Buy for $12 an hour, So my apologies if you guys work at Best Buy, but no, I just was like, dude, I got to do something, and I was like, I just didn't want to. When you go from not working for 5 years, it was really the thought of actually going and getting a job somewhere. And I never had a job. I've literally never worked anywhere except for myself. I've never had a job. UFC would be as close as you would come to having a job. Like I always started my own business at 20 years old. I've always had my own thing going, and I was like, you know what? I'm 7 or 8 at the time. I was like, I know I could fight in the UFC if I get 3 or 4 more wins, and at least then, I have something I can say I did, until I figure out what I'm doing, and start going that route. Yeah.
Well, so Joey, May 30th, 2008. I'm sitting next to Mr. McCorkle at an event in Northwest Indiana. It was called Primetime Fighting Championship. And Jacob Staller, your friend, I think he went by the Mouth on the Underground Forum, had an event there. Joey, he brought in a whole bunch of people from the Underground Forum to come in, see what he was doing. The card, if you look at the card today, it's freaking stacked. It's it's like Demi Deeds and Shoney Carter was the main event. It's just absolutely stacked card. And the issue is that he had special rules. It was, you got 30 seconds to be on the ground, and then you're getting stood up. And he said this like in the fighter meeting, but not everybody attends those. So Jason Guida and Alex Trujillo have got a guy on a card. And, no. Who is it? They got a guy on the card. And the referee stands him up after 30 seconds, and Guida loses his mind. Like he loses his mind. He can't understand this. And the referee's just do what I'm told to do. And like right then and there, the rules changed after that. But Guida, instead of cornering his fighter, was walking around bouncing his finger off the referee's head and not letting the referee get away during the actual fight.
Jesus. Yeah. It was between rounds. It was crazy because it was funny, the thing about Mouth. I heard one time a rumor that he had a stint in prison for 6 months, and he didn't have to change his nickname while he was there. They called him Mouth there too. But
oh God,
I'm just kidding. But
I just saw him like 6 months ago. By the way,
did you? Yeah. Haven't seen for a long time. I used to give him a hard time all the time. But
good dude.
Yeah, he is. He's a good guy. But he So Guida, I didn't know who Guida had just not made it on the Ultimate Fighter, just not made weight. So he was humiliated anyway, even though the show wasn't out yet and nobody knew it had happened. He was like, walking around with a chip on his shoulder, or maybe just because he looks like he does. But he was walking around. And so we're sitting, I guess you were sitting by me or whatever, but he's acting like a nut. And I was friends with the ref, the Dave Stone guy's a good dude. And he's like, dude, that's what they told me. And he's like, who told you? There's still a video of it online. He's fighting Jeremy Ashley, who's a friend of mine. And so then I tell Guida at one point, I said, dude, shut the fuck up. I say it from the crowd or whatever, because he's running his mouth. So he's like, you should. And he starts coming over there. I was like, dude, please come over here. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like he starts going all that. And I found him after the event too. And he acted like he didn't see me when I was trying to chase him down, or whatever. Like act like he, we need to have a bunch of dudes around him. But yeah, that's where that started, that whole.
So the issue is Keith Wisniewski, this is like May 30th. So the very next day, Keith Wisniewski had an event with Mark Birch headlining right down the street. And Jacob was relying on the names to bring people in, where Keith Wisniewski and the Doolin crew, it was just by happenstance they had a real close show together. It wasn't like, anything planned. Wisniewski had about 5,000 people at his show. And it was the people from that area were unaware that Stoller had a show. So he got murdered financially on that.
Yeah.
I heard
I think he lost 50 grand or more on that show. Something crazy like that. He paid Shoney Carter 10 grand to be there. He flew in OMA, the one-man army guy, flew him in just to be there because he was popular on the underground. Flew in Mrs. Rah Rah and that Tracy Lee. Anyone who was popular on the underground, he would fly him in thinking it was going to be like an underground show or whatever. But it did not do well.
I heard you bailed him out.
My brother might have. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't bail him
Okay.
out. My brother ended up going in business with him or hiring him at some point. My brother, I was in business on the appliance business with. He ended up promoting fights later. He went in business with Keith Palmer first, and then Palmer at the time thought he was smarter than he was. And my brother pretty much just, I told my brother, that's the only time I've ever seen anyone go in business with somebody and leave with their cage, their company name, their everything. And Palmer walked away with nothing, like it was, but he was a 23, 24-year-old kid, whereas my brother was very seasoned in the business world, you know what I mean, or whatever, and does not take prisoners. So, yeah, he hired Mouth for a while with the agreement that Mouth got, what was it? He got a third of whatever they made on the shows, but he had to work regular business hours. And he had to buy into the business for like $50,000. So he buys into Legends of Fighting for $50,000, works there for 2 years, doesn't even make $50,000 while working there of his cut. And then they split their company. So basically he worked there for free for 2 years. Like it's a crazy situation, but yeah, my brother did hire him for a while, but that was something else. That was crazy. The things that happened, man. That's been a long time.
Yeah. Did you still get along with your brother?
We didn't talk for probably 5 or 6 years after, not very much anyway, after the whole business split. It's tough we were making millions of dollars, and well, he was anyway. But he makes jokes now. He said, dude, you know how I am. I split it right down the middle, 90-10, but it took a while. My mom asked me for her birthday one year if I would make things right with him. And how are you gonna say no to your mom? And I was like, Mom, I didn't do anything though. You know what I mean? Or whatever. And she was like, yeah, just make it right. You know how he is, like, how your brother is. I'm like, what? Okay. Or whatever. So, yeah, we're cool now, but that took a while, man. That was a lot of, even though I walked out, it ended up being way better for me overall in my life. At the time, it was a little tough to, give. I mean, we probably had $6 or $7 million just in assets, let alone what the business was worth, So it's, it was another situation where he was counting the money. I was running the business. He was counting the money, and that never works out very well for the person running the business.
No, for anybody.
Yeah.
So there was a rumor that Jason Guida and Alex Trujillo confronted you out in Detroit.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was after I would always trash Guida after that, like nonstop. I would just trash him anytime I got a chance in every interview. And he at UFC, I think it was 123, was in Detroit, I think, or 122, I don't know. So I'm there, and then all of a sudden, I'm taking pictures with people because it was after my first fight in UFC. And all of a sudden, I hear a guy say, "Can I get a picture with you?" I'm like, "Sure." I go take a picture, and he's like, "Don't fucking touch me." And I turn and look at him, and I knew he looked familiar, but I didn't know who he was. Like I didn't know. I just knew he looked kind of familiar. And he was like saying, "Yeah, you're going to do this and that." And I was like, "Are you being serious? Like, what is going on?" He's like, "Yes. What is your problem?" He goes, "You don't know who I am?" I said, "You look familiar." And he goes, "I'm Jason Guida." Or he said, "I'm Clay Guida's brother." And I said, "I bet that's not the first time you've said that." And everybody starts laughing, that's standing around or whatever. And then he's got some guy with him that says, some dude's with him that says he's in the mafia and he's a made man, which normally people in the mafia don't go around saying they're in the mafia.
No.
But he's like, "I'll kill you and your whole family," or whatever. And he's like, he'll fight you anywhere, anytime. I said, "Not in the UFC, he won't," or whatever. Like was like just getting a hard time, like laughing. And at the time I'd asked Joe Silva because I wanted to punch him in his face, but I didn't want to piss the UFC off. Like they tell you when you signed at that time UFC, if you fight outside the cage, you'll never fight in it. Like we don't need the bad press, don't need anything, making us look worse. So in normal circumstance, I would have blasted him right in his face for the shit he was talking. But I was like, dude, I'm here. The UFC gave me third row tickets. I'm supposed to be the co-main event coming up. If I get arrested up here, if something happens, like I just didn't want any problems, But I was really disappointed in my friends that were with me. Like I didn't exactly have the loyalty of the scrap pack, like the Diaz brothers. Like no one that was with me, none of the fighters did anything. I'm like, dude, you've got nothing going on in your life. Can't you punch him in the face so I don't get in trouble? Like it's. But he had his dad was there. His dad was like, you made fun of my wife, and I'm like, what? Like apparently Guida's mom was on the underground. And I was roasting her. I didn't know it was actually her. So it was a surreal situation. But yeah, he didn't actually want to fight me. He just wanted to talk shit, and then kept like getting people in front of us, and then he would try to act like he's going to swing once there was 20 people ahead of it. In between us, then he was a tough guy, So he sucks, man. That dude still to this day sucks. But I don't know. I'm a grudge holder.
It's tough. It's tough to have a successful, charismatic little brother, I think.
Yeah.
It must be rough.
It's I ran into Clay Guida one time in El Paso, Texas. I told him, I said, dude, by the way, I have no problem with you. Your brother just sucks. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, sorry. He's like, yeah, I know, man. I don't know what to tell you, but he just Jason Guida just sucks. He does suck.
So no issues between you and Clay, because I know you guys have run into each other several times.
No, yeah, no. When I would see him, yeah, he was always nice. Of course, he's a really little dude too, so I doubt he would have said much, if not. But that was what on the underground I used to always search for an arch nemesis. For a while, it was me and Jason Reinhart was my arch nemesis for a while, and people were like, "Dude, why are you starting shit with Reinhart?" I was like, "Because it doesn't matter how good of a fighter is; he's still only 130 pounds, so I could still beat him up." You know what I mean? So I was like, I don't want like an arch rival that could beat me in a fight. So it has to be like. Matt Hughes sent me after I did the book review, I got a text or email from somebody that I think was Matt Hughes, and it said, "Hey, I can make 206 if you can make 265." And I assumed it was him, so I wrote back, "If you can make 5'9", I can make 265, or whatever." I said, so he was trying to pull one of mine, like he was trying to throw out a challenge. I was 335 pounds at the time. Like I'm not losing 70 pounds to fight Matt Hughes at a gym fight. Although I would have killed him at the time. People don't understand, man. Size does matter when you know what you're doing. Like it matters a lot. And these guys, Jake Paul shows that, like Jake Paul goes in and beats these guys up, but he's got them by 50, 60 pounds, like walk around weight, or whatever. So it's not, it makes a big difference. Even his brother fighting Floyd Mayweather, you know what I mean? He's outweighing by 100 pounds. It matters. And that's what I'd always say there's no guy. I used to say all the time, there's no man under 150 pounds in the world that can beat me in a fight.
So
and then
funny.
I would say there's no woman that can beat me in a fight either. So I have like literally 90% of the population I can beat in a fight. So
right. Yeah. I always enjoyed it. So you come back with Joe Malott. You knock him out in 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was sad.
And you start cutting promos about your like your terminally old grandmother at the time. This is when those promos start coming out.
Yeah, that was in Miami one night. That was I actually got into it with that night of all things. What is his name? I cannot stand that dude. I was gonna say who's the cross-eyed guy in the UFC, but that doesn't really narrow it down.
Ariel Helwani?
No. What is his name? I was at a fight, a CFA down in Miami, and there's every famous fighter in the world that was from American Top Team was there. And what is that dude's? I can't remember his name. I'll think of it later. I can't remember his name.
A cross-eyed guy in the UFC?
Yeah, he's foreign. He's from somewhere. What is his name? He's a decent fighter. He fights at 205. He shaves his head bald. He's from a foreign country. Ozemir something. What is his name? Vladimir. Oh my gosh, I gotta look it up.
Dude, I guarantee our audience is yelling at us, Joey. Why don't we know this? And we usually get these.
I think it's Ozdemir. I don't know.
Here, wait. This is what I learned. I took a $10. Wait, I took a $10 podcasting course. Hold on. I took a $10 course. If you know this answer, post it in the comments right now.
Put in the comments.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, Volkan Ozdemir.
I wouldn't have gotten that. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Me neither.
He sucks too. But his girlfriend tried to talk to me at the at this fight in Miami, like because I was a pretty good looking dude. I fought back in the day, especially for a guy over 6'5". But his girlfriend, I was walking by, and his girlfriend said, "Look how big that guy is." I heard her say it like as I was walking by. I said, "Did you just say look how handsome that guy is?" As a way to try to joke and pick her up. And she rolls her eyes and goes walking away and goes and tells him that I was hitting on her. And I don't. He's not a UFC fighter at the time. He's probably 3 or 4-0. And he comes over and asks what the problem is. I said, "You tell me what the problem is." And he was like, "You said something to my girlfriend." I said, "No, your girlfriend said something to me, and it's probably your fault that she's not happy with you. You know what I mean, or whatever, that she would feel comfortable talking to me." And then he said something else. And I was like, "Dude, what do you want to do? Like, what are you trying to do? You know what I mean? Or whatever." And at the time, I was with everybody from Milich's camp. So we got Brett Rogers was with us that night, Tim Sylvia. We've got like 20 dudes that are all killers, you know what I mean? Like with us or whatever. And he had his little fake team together of wherever the fuck he's from. But I told him, I said, that's what everybody, of course, you know how it is at events like that. There's a lot of testosterone. So everybody with Militich's guys start saying, "Hey, like come over here," like trying to get something going in the crowd, you know, or whatever. I was like, this is about to be the most organized brawl of all time, you know what I mean? Or the most high skilled fight of all time, like American Top Team versus, them. But yeah, so that night I had back surgery again around that time. I don't know. I had messed up my back and they give me Percocet for the first time. I'd never taken pain pills. I didn't know anything about that stuff in my life. So I was taking
That's
Percocet.
dangerous. Super dangerous.
Yeah. Taking Percocet at the time. And so then Tim Sylvia wants to buy us shots. And I was like, "Dude, I don't know if you should mix alcohol with Percocet." And it turns out I was wrong. It's an awesome mix. But
It is.
yeah, so I do probably 12 shots, and all of a sudden I don't even know where I'm at. I'd taken 3 Percocet before we left there. I was like looking around, and Spanish TV wants to interview me. And I was like, "Sure, you know, I mean, whatever, I'll do an interview with you," like thinking, what's the worst that could happen? It's going to be on Spanish TV. Then we found out what was the worst that could happen. So it spiraled out of control, man. It was I just kept thinking, I mean, who's going to ever see this? Who's going to know? And the next morning, Monty Cox was blowing my phone up. He's like, "Dude, they just attached it to they just tagged you in Twitter on that interview. They just put it on your Facebook wall, like this and that or whatever, trying to tell me to get it off there." So it was yeah, I used to claim that I smothered my grandma with a pillow to end her suffering at the end of cancer because I thought that was funny. But I don't know.
I did not pick up on the fact that you were on Percocet during that. I got to watch it again.
Yeah, I was lit, man. I was out of it.
You had multiple one-liners about murdering your own grandmother. Yes,
that's what. That's my go-to. That's how that whole story is true to the point where I did tell my mom and dad, like, give her the rest of her morphine, let her die. She was 86 years old, third time she had cancer, turning purple, suffocating on her own vomit. I was like, and the hospice people kept saying, just like, you can give her as much as she needs. Just kept saying stuff like that. They didn't be the ones that want to be the one to kill her. And I was like, dude, if I was in that situation, I would hope someone would kill me. You know what I mean? It was bad, bad, bad. And I told my mom and dad, like, well, we don't want to do that. And I was on a date with a girl and was telling her that story. And she's like, giving me a look like, how dare you say you're going to kill your grandmother? Like, give me a dirty look. So then I decided to go with, like, you know what I mean, that I had. I said, yeah, I panicked. I smothered her with a pillow. And the last 30 seconds she was alive, most lively I'd seen her in years. You know what I mean? I said, well, she was really lively. I'm glad she went out like that and this and that. And it ended that date pretty quick, but I just thought it was funny. I don't know.
It was so good. It was so good. I'm like, wait, what did he? Rewind. Oh no.
That's what I recently got a ticket for using her handicap pass. Like her handicap cop asked me if it was my handicap pass. I'm getting out of the car. It's like the 5th time I've got in trouble for it. He's like, "That's your handicap pass?" I was like, "Well, not exactly." And he's like, "So you're using?" I said, "Well, it belongs to my deceased grandmother." And he's like, "You're using your dead grandmother's handicap pass?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but if I don't, dude, it's almost like she died for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like seems like I should, use it for something."
She would want.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, she wanted me to have it, and I used to. I'll tell you what, you'll never become a bigger advocate for handicap parking when you have a pass and can't find it. Like, it's not, they don't have sufficient Like Disney World is the worst. We're down at Disney. I can't find handicap parking anywhere, and I'm like, man, none of these people are probably really handicapped. I'm like getting mad thinking about it. My son's like, neither are you. And I'm like, well, yeah, but still, you know what I mean? They should have.
I got the pass. Yeah,
right. They should have more spots than this. And I'll see someone park that doesn't have the pass, and I'm like, well, that's got bullshit, man. That should be my spot, or whatever. So it's actually find myself getting mad about it.
So did you work out with Brett Rogers?
No, thankfully, as it turns out, I was nervous meeting him that night because I had made a joke in one of my more popular interviews. I made a joke about when I would do the McCorkle minute. Have you guys ever seen those when I would,
Oh yeah.
it was,
It
I would
started
write,
with Mitrione, though. You and
yeah,
Mitrione
it was,
started those together.
he would hit me up and ask me for jokes for every Hawaiian show for the Metro Minute. So I would write him a bunch of jokes and he would butcher them. And then he's extremely undependable, so he would be scheduled to do it. And he was like, "Hey, I can't do it today, man." McCorkle will get on there and do it though. With Helwani, like had me get on there. So um, when I got on there, Ariel ended up hitting me. He's like, "Dude, have you been writing his jokes the whole time?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I knew there was no way he was that witty coming up with that stuff, you know." But we were on there one time together, and I said that I was watching Uriah Faber and Dominick Cruz fight, and like I don't like watching little guys fight because I want to see two little kids get beat up. I'll go to Brett Rogers' house because he had been arrested the day before for beating up his wife and kids. You know what I mean, or whatever. So that was the line that everyone absolutely loved. Like it killed everybody. And then I see him a month later at that fight. I'm like, this could be awkward because I know he must have seen it. You know.
Yeah.
But turns out he was probably trying to jerk me off in the bathroom or whatever it is he got in trouble for later
Several
on in
times.
life. Yeah, it's that's weird. I don't know. I usually can tell when someone's weird like that. He did not seem weird like that. Like not in person anyway. So
There's a there was a strange exit at the American Top Team with him, and I think I figured it out
yeah,
with the actual fighter. And I'm gonna get that fighter one day, and I'm just just gonna
yeah. If you had
drop
to
it
bet
in
what
there.
happened, if you had to bet what happened,
Well,
I
I
have a
know
feeling
what happened. The fighter
yeah.
woke up and he's just like, "Well, wait a minute. What are you doing in my room?
Oh God.
No, I felt you touching my legs. What are you doing? What are you doing here?"
It's crazy that you can be that tough and gay at the same time, like Dominick Cruz. Like it, or like Bruce Buffer, although Bruce Buffer's not tough. You guys know Bruce Buffer's gay, right? I don't know if you guys knew that.
We've heard that. John Peretti has alluded to it.
Yeah.
He
I would
did
see
stand up for himself against Frank Trigg. He's at least semi tough, right?
well, yeah. The funny thing is, he'll say stuff like, "I know I shouldn't have ate that candy I just put in my mouth because now it's like all powdery and shit." I you would talk to Bruce and he'd be like, "Sean, I'd love to stand here and talk to you, buddy, but I got 6 bitches waiting in my room. They want the dick. What am I going to do?" You know how it is, us straight guys. And I'm like, yeah, Bruce, I know what it's like. And he'd be like, "I'll tell you what, man, I love titties. I don't know about you guys, but titties are my thing." And you're like, no straight man has ever said that.
No.
Or he told me one time, I actually saw Chael sunning out in Las Vegas and no one knew it was him. They weren't paying attention. And I yell out, "Hey, look, everybody's Chael Sonnen. Oh my God." And go running up to him, like to get everybody to start harassing him for pictures. And we were talking. He said he just ran to Bruce Buffer, and Buffer was telling me, "You're gonna believe this, Chael. And, I go out last night. I'm looking for pussy. You know how I am. I'm always looking out, look out for pussy. And I end up in a gay bar. Craziest thing ever. Can you imagine me in a gay bar?" And I ran into what's her name, the Brazilian champion girl fighter. Why can I not remember her name? The Lioness.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, come on, dude. Two-time world champion, knocked out Ronda Rousey. Come on, Joey.
Right.
oh my gosh,
She's on the MVP card. I think she's making a comeback. Come on. Go ahead.
Women's MMA.
Wait.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
know the answer to this, put the
Comment
name in the
it.
comments. Yeah, go ahead.
You guys, you can't blame me for not remembering her name though, because I only like to see women get beat up from the first person point of view. So I'm not much for watching women's fights. So
Whoa.
but that's but no, it's yeah, I guess he had seen her there, and then he was like I guess he was like afraid she was going to tell somebody he was at the gay bar. So he's like, "Yeah, I'm in a gay bar. Can you imagine of all things?" I was like, I don't have a hard time imagining that for some reason. But it yeah,
He's
I
got
don't
ab
know.
implants. I mean, usually guys that like chicks, like
Amanda Nunez. That's the name we
Yeah,
couldn't come up
Nunez.
with. That's a
Thank you.
fail. We lost that one.
That's a shame. Um, it was funny when she had her. I remember when she had her kid. I was congratulating her on being a new dad, and everybody was getting mad on Twitter or whatever. I was like, "Well, she's a new dad. Leave her alone." Like saying stuff like that. Like it. I don't know. I don't like to belittle people if they've done nothing to me, but I thought it was funny.
That was.
Yeah. So Dominick Cruz, did you guys ever meet in person?
No, thankfully, no. He's just. I, I don't know, man. He always seemed like a dick to me, and a lot of those little guys are. The really little dudes. They got a chip on their shoulder. But
Yeah.
to me, if you have a Yorkie as a grown 40-year-old man, and you take the dog with you everywhere, and there's never been a picture of you seen anywhere with a good-looking girl ever once, and then he just gives off really gay vibes to me, and I always say that on the MMA Roasted podcast, and Mayhem called him out on it. I don't know. I meant to send you guys that link. Mayhem asked him if he's gay, more or less, on their on his podcast he's doing, and he's like, what are you talking about? Well, Sean McCorkle told me you were. And he acts like he doesn't know who I am, which maybe he doesn't, but it's the funniest. It's an ongoing joke forever. That's why my name on Zoom was YN Sean McCorkle because I thought that was funny. And so Adam asked me if I would change it. He's like, dude, you're gonna get me in trouble. You're gonna get me canceled. So I just changed it to Dominick Cruz is gay or whatever it is right now. I don't know what it is, but
That's
it
what it
was
says.
yeah, something like that. So I just love to make Adam uncomfortable. Like any chance I get, I love to make him uncomfortable. So I always change it every week to something new. But when you guys said that, I thought, what in the world how do they know about that? And I realized it was my name. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you get called to here we go. On May 28th, 2010, hold up. August 9, 2010, you fight Bobby Flavors. Your original opponent's Johnathon Ivey. Ivey pulls out, and you fight Johnathon Favors. You beat him by KO. And then on May 28th, 2010, you fight Ivey. Ivey's legit.
He was. A lot of people, man, a lot of people make fun because he had lost 60 fights, but I was like, he also won 60 fights. You know what I mean? And he went the distance with like 12 or 14 different UFC veterans. Like he went to a decision.
He's legit.
With him, so,
yeah, you can't sleep on Ivey. And his leg lock game is fantastic.
Yeah. I rolled with him actually later on. We rolled together. He got the better of me a couple times, like rolling with him. I was really surprised, man. He's slick on the ground. He really is. But he was like my way to, I always said, I knew if I went enough time, if I was going to get beat up, I wanted to be in the UFC. So why fighting by super tough? If I can get $1,000 to fight somebody that sucks outside the UFC, or get 2,000 to fight somebody tough outside the UFC, why not go ahead and just take the win and the $1,000? You know, like it was. I didn't want to lose outside the UFC, so I was looking for someone that was somewhat legitimate, and he wanted I think $2,500 to fight me, and the time Legends of Fighting, which my brother owned by that time, the same brother I was in business with, didn't want to pay him that much money to fight me. And the guy named from the underground, Mr. Ziploc, some real rich dude, I guess chipped in and gave him $1,000 of his money just to make the fight happen. So I guess the LFC was only offering 1,500. So we ended up fighting him, and that was I hit him. I think that someone counted like 270 times. I punched him in that fight, and he only landed 2 strikes the whole fight. But he just kept taking it. Like no matter what I do, he just kept taking it. He was like Bruce Buffer. But no, I just kept punching him and hitting him, and they finally just stopped it. The same ref, actually, Dave Stone, who Jason Guida tried to attack, ironically, was the one in that fight. He finally waved it off after a round and a half of me just mauling him, you know. But my hands hurt for weeks after that. Both my hands were swollen, elbows were swollen from just elbowing and punching him. But he would take a beating, man. That dude would not give in.
Guys like Ivey allow guys like yourself to move on to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're super important, and they don't get paid for it. They don't get paid nowhere near what they're worth.
No. And you got to have, that's what they were, when I got cut by the UFC, that's what everyone was trying to turn me into. Everybody wanted to fight me who was trying to get in the UFC because they knew when I left UFC, I didn't take it nearly as serious anymore. Like I don't know, man, I'd kind of ran my course and I didn't really I was kind of disillusioned with with all of it, you know? And I'd hurt my back again. I kind of lost when I saw how everyone turned on me, even my friends and family, when I lost to Struve, I was like, dude, I went from being the greatest guy ever to I lose a fight.
Well,
now I'm an asshole, you know?
Let's walk through it. So you get the call to the UFC. I'm not even sure they wanted you, truth be told. I'm not because based on your internet personality, but they were coming to Indianapolis. You're a hometown guy. It's the first time they were ever in Indiana. It's September 25th, 2010. And I don't mean that as an insult, but
no, it's the truth. Yeah.
But I don't think they took you serious.
No. And that's what Joe Silva told me at the time. The only reason I got a chance was because I had trained with Tim Sylvia. Monty thought I was nuts. Monty Cox thought I was nuts. And then he got to know me when I cornered Tim Sylvia for one of his fights against Pujanowski in I think Boston. I cornered him over there, and I got talking to Monty that night, and he realized I wasn't as crazy as I pretended to be online, you know?
That was the issue. They thought he was just a fucking psych ward patient show. They thought McCorkle was a psych ward patient. Yeah.
Which I can see that. But they didn't realize it was all supposed to be funny, like that it was just a persona I was playing. And then when Monty met me and Tim Sylvia told him I could actually fight, he said, I think he could actually compete with the guys at UFC level. Monty asked me if I'd be interested in fighting the UFC. I was like, well, not for $3,000. I can tell you that. You know, I can make that fight in the local shows and still act like I'm one of the best fighters in the world, you know? And but he called me one night. I'll never forget. I was drunk the night he called me, hanging out at Malf's ex-girlfriend's house, which is a whole nother story. I was over there. He called me. I was drunk, which I'm not a big drinker, but I was drunk that night. And it's like, "Do you want to fight in the UFC when they come in September to Indianapolis?" I was like, "Not really." And he's like, "You don't?" I said, "Dude, not for like $3,000." He goes, "Well, we'll give you a lot more than that." I said, "Dude, I just not trying to get my ass kicked, you know what I mean, on TV and shit." And I said, "Who would I be fighting?" He goes, "Well, all they promised was another first-time UFC guy. They said they don't know who yet," which I knew was bullshit too, because there's no way they
Yeah.
offered me a fight but didn't know who. And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, man." And I ended up telling Monty I'd call him back, and he thought it was hilarious. He's like, "You know how many guys are dying for this opportunity?" I was like, "Dude, I'm not. I don't. I figured I was going to lose to whoever it is. You know what I mean?" I said, so I called him back. I said, "No idea who I'm fighting." He said, "All they promised me, another guy's first time in the UFC, whoever it'll be, because they're not going to serve you up to some killer, you know, or whatever." So I was like, thought about it. I was like, "Dude, if nothing else, I'll make 10 grand, whatever." You know, like it was 8 and 8, you know, to fight. I thought I'd get some sponsor money. Plus, it's Indianapolis. I thought I'll at least I can know if I'm any good at all at that point. You know what I mean? If I have any opportunity. And then when I saw the 3 weeks, I signed the promotional agreement. The bout agreement came through a month later when we were still 7, 8 weeks out, and it said Mark Hunt. And I was like, "Dude, I know that's not Mark Hunt from Pride Fight in Japan. Like, I know that's not who they're talking about. It must be Mark Hunt, the wrestler from Iowa or something. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
whatever." Because I was like, "There's no way in hell." They said it'd be another, and it is his first time UFC technically. So
Yep.
I immediately called Monty. I was like, "Dude, what the hell is this shit, man?" I said, "I'm fighting Mark Hunt for my UFC debut." He goes, "Yeah, but if you get him off his feet." I was like, "Yeah, if I don't, though, it's going to be a real
Mm-hmm.
problem." And he was like,
Dude,
"Dude,
hold on. If you don't get Mark Hunt off your feet, oh
Yes.
my
Hospitalization.
God, dude, hospital.
that's
Like,
what
I mean,
Yeah.
That's why I told you. That's why I pulled guard. I was like, "Dude, I tried taking him down a couple times. I got hit both times. I even tried to get close enough. He was way faster than I thought, like way faster standing up." And I was like, "Dude, fuck this." You know what I mean? Like,
can I guess? Can I guess on this?
yeah,
My belief, Sean, you were all in on the McCorkle bandwagon, or you were all out, and like you were either loved or hated on the Underground Forum. And what really helped you out was the Matt Hughes book review. The Matt Hughes
right,
book review actually got you fans on your side, but previous
right,
to that,
yeah,
it was like 95 against, 5% for. I think somebody at the UFC couldn't stand you and said, "Yeah, promise him a first timer,
Let's
give
get him
him
his
Mark
ass
Hunt."
kicked.
Yeah, and
yeah,
make him pull out so we can
right.
embarrass him online. But $8,000 to fight Mark Hunt, first
Yeah.
timer, come on,
Yeah. Well,
dude.
that's what I almost did. When I saw that, I was like, "Dude, they're trying to fuck me," is what they're trying to do. Like, they're trying to, like, and so I was like, "I'm not getting knocked out by Mark Hunt." And I kept thinking, what if I do beat him, though? I'm 10-0 already.
Mm-hmm.
What if I beat him? And then I even thought at the time, I really did. I was joking earlier, but I thought at the time, if I beat him, if I just retired at that point and never fought again, I could always say that I could have been the UFC heavyweight champ, and we'll never know how good I could have been, you know, whatever.
Hey,
Like, but it's my little brother tried to talk me at the time. He said, "Dude, listen, you're probably gonna get your ass kicked, you know, right?" I was like, "Dude, if I get him off his feet," he's like, "Yeah, probably not." He said, "So this is what you should do." He said, "It like let him hit you with a leg kick or something and just scream, 'Oh my God,' and take off, run and climb over the fence and run out of the arena." He said, "Just run up the stands all the way out of the arena and like leave." And he said that will at least be like a Pizza Hut commercial, like Peter McNeely with Mike Tyson, you know,
Yeah.
the Pizza Hut commercial where he knocks himself out with the pizza. And he goes, "That's a really good plan, man." I was like, "Dude, that would be humiliate myself for no guarantee." He's like, "You're gonna get humiliated anyway." That's what everyone thought I was gonna lose. I had friends, Johnny Reese, who fought in the UFC a couple times. He bet $5,000 against me that night. Known him since we were 5 years old, and he bet 5 grand against me that I would lose against to my friends. You know, like
hey,
it was.
Joey, just so you know, Lytle and I are close,
Yeah.
and at this time, Lytle and I were talking, and the majority of it is just us going, "Well, how bad do you think it's gonna be?"
Yeah.
And Lytle's like, "Well," he called me up that night. He's like, "Mike, we were all packed up, ready to go." And we're like, "Oh no, Sean's got to fight." "Oh, okay. All right. Hey, yeah, good luck, buddy. You know, we're with
Yeah.
you." He's like, "Mike, we were all just going, fuck, dude. How ugly is this going to be?" He's like, all of us were just like, "Oh man, do we want to watch this or not?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Everyone thought I was going to lose except me, and then I thought I was going to lose after the first time he hit me. As soon as he hit me, I thought, "Sweet Jesus, man!" Like I backed up, and didn't even land solid. It was just I didn't see it coming. I just heard it, and I was like, and he missed me with the left hand that would have taken my head off, and I was like, he is way faster than I thought he would be. You know, like standing up, like his
Yeah.
hands are a lot faster. I remember thinking I'm probably in here with the wrong guy. Like I remember thinking like this is a bad idea, but I remember thinking that, and I was like, I got to get him to the ground. It's my only and I used the same thing I submitted Marcelo with, the thing he taught me the very first day of jiu-jitsu class is the same thing I got Mark Hunt with. But I inverted it to a straight arm bar because that Kimura people would always straighten their arm to try to relieve the pressure on the shoulder. And I would just switch the pressure to their elbow. So they had to choose dislocate your shoulder or get your elbow snapped in half. It's one of the two, but I thought when I did it and it broke, I thought I had been knocked out and was just dreaming it. Like I thought it was like he'd probably knocked me out and I was just dreaming I won. Cause like nothing at that point in my life, I had so many bad things happen to me, man, in a row. After having a pretty charmed life before that, I thought, dude, there's no way this would actually go well for me, So things got weird, man, fast. I had 50,000 Facebook friend requests the next day and only like 20,000 were gay guys. So, it was, yeah, and like 10,000 of them were 300-pound black women. I was very popular in those demographics, but yeah, it got weird fast, man. Like a couple months later, I was at R. Kelly's studio with him and Lady Gaga. It was just strange change of a life, man. Really fast too.
So when the name comes through, you obviously Monty Cox is your manager. Do you say, can we negotiate for a higher purse? Was there any?
Yeah, that's what I told Monty. I was like, dude, this is bullshit. And Monty said the only fighter who's not signed. And I was in business. I'm fairly smart, so I was in business for myself. So I read all my own contracts. I mean, I wanted to be a lawyer when I was growing up. That's what I was planning on doing before I started my business. And I read the contract. I was like, this is the most unfair shit I've ever read in my life.
Yeah.
And it pretty much, you have to admit 3 different times that you understand it's unfair in the UFC contract. Like, it's like, I admit this is not a normal request from a normal contract and I'm still signing it, So it's like when you get a mortgage and they ask you at the very end, sign this saying you don't wish to cancel all your other signatures you just did, So it was ridiculous. And I said, does any of this open for negotiation? I could do it. I have to sign away my likeness. He said Brock Lesnar's the only one he had ever heard of that had a different contract to that point than anyone else. Like everybody else signs.
John Fitch too. John Fitch did as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Then they cut all of his Kane, Velasquez, everybody on his team over there because he didn't want to, sign it. You know what I mean? Like it was, and rightfully so. I got $2,000 for being on the video game, so that doesn't seem fair to me. But $7.67 for my Topps trading cards, and I had to sign 500 of them. Like and they didn't even give me a card, so I had to buy one of my own cards off eBay. So you get nothing for signing the posters. They have 200 posters. When you get to an event, you have to sign. They give you a poster, but then they sell the other ones for $600 to $800 on their website. You get nothing for it, nothing for signing it, nothing. Like it just really unfair. But you do get a $375 million settlement with you and 700 other fighters 15 years later, and then you get $18,000, which also doesn't seem fair. Like I get 18,000 of the 375 million. Seems like it should be more than that if there's only 800 of us, but I don't know. So
did Monty call them asking to renegotiate the pay?
No. He said that's the deal, and he said it for every guy. If you don't want it, there's 10 guys waiting to take that fight. At the time he said everybody got a bunch of idiots that were willing to fight for free as long as they could be on TV. That was
he's right. He's not lying. He's not lying about that.
They're always amazed by that. People like, you can't pay your mortgage with Twitter followers. You know what I mean? Like that's not I've tried, but you can't. There's no money into it. And that's what I didn't care about being famous. So that's what was always for me. I probably could have parlayed the whole UFC thing into something bigger, like a podcast or other stuff. But I never wanted to be famous. I never cared about that. I was more interested in wanted to, I'd rather be rich than famous any day, which again, my grandmother, my grandmother smothered with a pillow was Jewish. So I blame her.
So you beat Mark Hunt, which shocked the world, dude. It shocked the world. And it gave your internet,
yeah. Everyone started to wonder if I was serious about all the shit I said then at that point. So, at that time too, Ariel Helwani didn't want to interview me before that fight. He did one interview with Dana White. He got 3,000 views. My interview pre-fight, I had to talk him into it. He doesn't. I get like 80,000 views, like something crazy, just because I trashed my ex-wife in it. I said I was smoking crack to make the weight for the fight. Just everything ridiculous you can imagine. I just went ahead and did it.
I remember that one.
Yeah, it went. It was titled "Sean McCorkle doesn't want to get beat up in front of his friends and family," because I was saying that Mark Hunt better not try to stand up with me. And he's like, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm not trying to get beat up in front of my friends and family, so he better go to the ground with me." Like it's. I was the only. I don't know. I was a realist about it. I knew what was going to happen if I didn't get him off his feet, and it wasn't going to be good for me. So.
How did you cut the weight?
I got with a guy named Joe Mobarecki, man. He was a former Mr. Indiana 3 or 4 times. I went to school with him when we were really young. And he. At the time, I had started getting in decent shape, man. I was probably 315 with maybe 15 or 14% body fat. So I was still in really pretty decent shape, man, lifting a lot of weights. And he got with me, and I at the time didn't know how I was going to do it. That was one thing. Monty called me, he said, "Dude, you got to make the weight if you sign this. Are you sure you can make it?" I hadn't weighed that since I was 16 years old. Like since I was a kid. So
Hunt would have agreed to a higher weight. I mean, Hunt
yeah,
doesn't
But the
like to make
UFC
weight.
doesn't do above 265.
yeah, they won't do it. It's I asked Joe Silva why, and he said that we never imagined when we came up with these weight classes, or the athletic commissions did, that there would ever be guys big enough and athletic enough to have a whole division of super heavyweights. So it
Why
made
even
no
have a
sense.
cap? I mean, it should be 225 on up, 226 on up.
Yeah, it
Heavyweight
makes
and
no
super
sense.
heavyweight.
Yeah, heavyweight and super heavyweight, or
Well, that's
battle
what.
weight.
Yeah,
So some
me and
different name.
I never understood. Me and guys like I'm fighting Warcraft, and we're both cutting 20 pounds to make 265 to neither of our benefit. Like we're both going to
Right.
walk in at 285, and it was just stupidity, man. It was really hard for me to make that weight too. But
And
I got
dangerous.
down.
Actually
Yeah,
dangerous. Yeah.
extremely. I got all the way down in 13 weeks. I got down to whatever. I think I was 271 walking around, but that was starving myself, like all the way down, eating 1,200 calories a day, no carbs, cardio all day. Couldn't really train because I was exhausted all the time with no carbs. But I have very heavy bones too. But when I walked in the cage, all 3 times I fought for the UFC, I was over 290 when I walked in. So like I would
Wow.
weigh myself before I go to, I'd be 290 to 295. So I was getting to 265 and then rehydrating and getting back and be up 290, 295 by the time I would fight. So it was,
Oh
yeah, it
man.
wasn't any fun for sure.
Wow. Yeah, after that you said you kind of a celebrity filled few months, huh?
Yeah, man, it got weird. Everybody only cares about basically that whole world. I can't stand the whole Hollywood world. I had 2 guys down in Miami approach me. Said they had a production company in Hollywood and wanted to put me in movies or whatever. And I was like, is sodomy going to be a prerequisite? Just joking. And they didn't think it was funny. And then the guy that was promoting the fight down there said, "Dude, those dudes are like a real big deal." He said, like they're legit Hollywood producers. I was like, I don't want to be famous, so I don't really care. That doesn't matter to me. I never wanted to be in movies or anything like that. It's just I don't like being the center of attention, despite my internet persona. So
Hmm.
it's yeah, but yeah, around a lot of weird people, man. Like a lot of strange people.
So Joey, we got this guy, boisterous, bigger than life personality, somebody you could kind of like in today's day and age, they would rally the horses around. Like, oh no,
Right.
no. Like the
With the building.
villain sells more tickets than the hero.
For sure.
And
Always. Yeah.
and you had a guy
Ali knew
willing
that.
to accept
Yeah.
that role. Like you had a guy
Yeah.
willing to accept that role and pushing it, talking about his dead grandma. You know what I mean? There was
Yeah.
it was outrageous, but it wasn't like crossing racial lines or anything like that. It was just outrageous stuff that was funny, tongue in cheek. What do you think the UFC does at this point? Like, they're sitting around. Do you think they give him like, hey, let's get him another win and see where it's at? Or do you think they give him the number 11th ranked guy in the world?
The
Yeah.
guy that's got a win over Stipe?
Oh,
Yeah, not just that. 9 weeks after my fight against Hunt, like I had 9 weeks to get ready for that one. So
9 weeks here. So it's December 11th. Quick turnaround. You know what? We didn't get the result we wanted on this one with Mark
Right.
Hunt. Stick him in with a 7 foot tall, 11th ranked guy in the world with a win over Stipe.
Yeah, we got
Stephan
we got one guy on the roster who's taller than him. Let's make him punch up.
yeah, yeah.
You know
The
what I
funny,
mean?
the
Yeah.
great thing about that is I got a hold of Stephan Struve's agent before that fight, and I said, "Hey, man, I want to get paid. I want to get paid on this fight, so I'm gonna talk like a bunch of shit. It's not personal. If he's not good at writing shit, I'll make it up for him, and I'll give him stuff to say about me. But I really want to build this. I want to get on the main card because I want that sponsorship money." And he's like, "Well, he's not like that. He just likes to train this and that." I'm like, "That's why he's 7 foot tall, and no one I know has ever heard of him. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Right.
Like he should be famous, And they
Let me
didn't
write
like
for
the
you. Let me write
yeah.
for you.
That's
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
I have done that before too. I did interviews for my opponents sometimes, and they didn't know I had done it. Like did an interview as them about me. It was amazing. But and then acted like I was outraged at the things I said about me.
Yeah.
But it was the personal attacks on my family.
This
So
is
um I yeah. So he said he didn't want to do it. So he got. I was actually telling my wife this the other day. She had never heard the story. I don't think, surprisingly, but at the time I was I was coming up with a daily rumor I heard about Stephan Struve. Like this week, I heard this about Struve, and it was like just that, like he went to a mechanic, and Struve said, "Man, the guy really screwed me." Then he charged me a lot to fix my car. Like it was all just, just stupid shit.
Yeah.
So then
I
I
forget
had
laugh
one.
at gay humor. I mean, are
Right,
we ever
yeah,
going to
we
get
gotta do.
along? I mean,
Right.
do we? You know what I mean?
It's so I ended up saying that his favorite pre-fight meal was macaroni and dick. It was all him being gay, basically. So after the fight, everything happens. I'm in his hotel room. We're eating cake because we were both starving at the time for carbs. And he said the only thing that made him mad is when he would go places, like he's a big deal wherever he's from. He said people would yell out things like macaroni and dick, like when they'd see him, or whatever, because they had all heard the rumor, that I had made up. And I guess you guys remember Vladimir Matyshenko, the old
Oh yeah,
Oh,
the
dude, we love
janitor.
Vlad.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He I guess I think it was him. It was either Matyshenko or it was the guy who was in who's the Russian dude that was in I think in a couple of the Expendables movies.
Oleg
You know.
Tektarov.
Yeah, it's one of those two. I
Hmm.
can't remember. They were his like second father to Struve, basically. You know what I mean? Like trained him when since he was a kid and really close with him. And I think it was Matyshenko, but like a real serious. You know how Russians aren't usually the jokiest people,
No.
but he's real serious, and that he thinks you respect your opponent, you don't talk shit. So they brought him a list. They printed out the things I wrote on Twitter about Stephan Struve. So they said that he's looking at it and he's reading like the first one that Nike came, or I said he couldn't make a Korean wife submit, like just things like just stupid shit. And so he's like looking at like he's like, oh, disgusted. He's like looking at it so mad. Then he goes, macaroni and dick. Like he thought it was, even Matyshenko thought it was funny.
Yeah, that was good. That was
Yeah,
good.
started cracking up. And he said, I started to like this guy, I think, Stephan. And Stephan's like, dude, I give up. You know what I mean? Or whatever. He said he was so mad about it. But I found out later he had been bullied by a family of dwarfs or midgets when he was a kid. I don't know exactly what the story was, but I was like, dude, thank God. He better thank God I didn't know about that, because I would have went all in on that, man. That would
So
have been amazing.
we've almost had him several times. He's fucking impossible. He does color commentary for the UFC. Uh, oh, I think he's Swedish. He
Yeah.
does their play by play for them. Um, he said out of every single fight he's ever had, he'd never been more nervous about you
Yeah.
because you were in his head.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. I thought I was going to beat him easy. I was like, this dude is so scared of me. He couldn't even look at me when we passed the hallway. And I made a mistake before the fight. I was at the open workout and he wouldn't even look my direction. So I see him in the hallway one night going to the thing. I said, dude, I'm just fucking with you, right? I was just trying. I got his co-main event by talking shit, you know what I mean, or whatever. He's like, it's just really disrespectful, man. He was a 22-year-old kid at the time too, or whatever. And I probably should have kept that fear going. I probably could have worked in my favor, but I was nervous for that one too, mostly because my life had gotten so weird after the Hunt fight, like so changed so fast and so weird that I knew it would get even weirder if I won another one. And Dana tells me right before I go out, he's like, if you win this, it's going to change your life. And I was like, what? And he goes, he said, we like your personality. We like the stuff you do. Like, we're going to put our whole marketing team behind you. If you beat him tonight, I'm telling you, he said, if you finish him, I'll give you $100,000 bonus and we're going to make you a superstar. And I was like, dude, I was already felt like I was going to pass out from the pressure, like I didn't like how everybody, even people treated me different once I beat Hunt, everyone around me wanted to be my best friend. They all wanted something. Nobody wanted to help me or do anything for me. It was all, every girl in the city was chasing me. Like it was just, I mean, a good problem to have, I guess, to some degree, but it also,
Yeah.
everybody I ever went to school with wanted tickets, like just everybody all wanting something from me. And I didn't like, and I knew the minute I lost, they would all turn on me, and they did. Everybody did the minute I lost. So everybody hated me. So.
Joey, Stephan Struve's 20-4. He's a number 11th ranked guy in the world. He's Dirty Bob Schreiber's top student at the time. He's in Holland at Jim's Gym. All of those. He's at Wolf Slayer with Mario Neto. Like he's somebody that's got financial backing to train full time.
Yeah.
For a very, very long time.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, did you ever run into Joe Silva after this?
Yeah, I did, man. I actually, I always thought Joe kind of liked me. I guess he doesn't. I've tried to, after the UFC sold out, I've tried to text him just every now and then, just to see how he's doing. He doesn't want to talk to me. Don't have anything to do with me. He's kind of a dick, really. But I would
That's
ask him.
weird.
Yeah, he hit me one time. It's funny. He said, Sean, he texted me, Sean Joe Silva, UFC. I need you to do me a favor. I was like, anything you want, Joe. I was just trying to stay in the UFC. Like I want to be in their good graces. And he was like, can you stop putting racist shit on Twitter? And I was like, oh God, like he's mad, you know what I mean, or whatever. And I didn't know what I'd said. So I looked on there and I was dating a mixed girl at the time. And someone asked me if she was mixed. And I said no, or if she was Spanish or mixed or what? And I said, no, there's two things I can't stand: racism and interracial dating. Like that was my comment back to the guy on Twitter because I thought it was funny. And I'd also been dating a Native American girl at the time. And I put a copy of a text I had sent her on there that said, I told her Happy Thanksgiving one year. She was full-blooded Native American. So I put a text to her. I said, Happy Thanksgiving. Sorry we stole all your shit and made it way better than you guys ever would have made it, And then I just left it like
Jesus.
that. And then
Mhm.
later on, she said something to me and she said, did you know I was on my college rowing team? And I said, no, but I bet you can canoe like a motherfucker, which is also a great joke.
Yeah.
And so then I post that online and they were, yeah.
Yeah.
So
How much
they,
wampum you need? Yeah. How much
yeah, they were,
wampum?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They were UFC was not they were not feeling it. So it's he said, can you stop putting racist shit? And I was like, he's mad. The only chance I have is to make him laugh. That's the only chance for that mad. I said, Joe, what if it's really funny though? And he just said, oh my God. That's all he said back in the text. And I was like, well, that's that, I guess.
Yeah,
So
that's the guy that lined you up against Mark Hunt.
right,
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
That was
So
100% on that message board. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and telling me the only reason I have any chance is because Monty said I could fight and don't embarrass him. That's what he said. You better come out and give it your all. Don't embarrass Monty. He put his reputation saying that you're, worth fighting here and this and that. And he said, I think the stuff you do, some of it online is pretty funny, but that didn't get you here. You're only here because Monty said you could fight this and that. So he made it very apparent they didn't want me there. So.
And then they feed you with more craft. Well, you were on the UFC 3 undisputed video game. What was the check that they gave you for that?
$2,000. And
Oh,
yeah, the best is I don't know if that was more offensive or the fact they made me look like cross-eyed Christopher Walken on there. Like everything else is identical to my tattoos are the same. Everything on me is identical, except they've got me cross-eyed or with a lazy eye. They had me convinced I was cross-eyed for a while. I was like looking, I was like, dude, that was with those motion capture like cameras. Like, am I cross-eyed and don't know it? Like I'm like looking at myself in the mirror, like what is going on? Because on the game, I look like I'll never forget, man. My son when I fight Hunt, I come up in the crowd and it was like a movie. Like when I come up after the fight, I lied to him and told him I had a ticket. They wouldn't let us, you fight the UFC, you can't go in the arena unless you keep one of the tickets they give you to get in. Like that's how ridiculous it is. So I go up there, find my son in the crowd. One of my friends took him to the fight and his mom, we were divorced at the time. She did her best to keep him from going. But I told him beforehand, listen, no matter what, I'll be okay. Don't worry about me if I get beat up. It's only because he got lucky, this and that. So I get up there. My son's 9 at the time. He said, man, Dad, I was so worried when he took you down. I said, dude, I told you I was going to be okay either way. He's like, no, I wouldn't worry about that. I'd worry about you getting beat up in front of all these people. Like that would be embarrassing to have your dad get beat up by another man. I was like, you little bastard. You know what I mean? Or whatever. That's what I'm thinking. He said, I was going to tell people you weren't my dad if you got beat up. I was like, thanks, bud. So the video game comes in the mail one day. We got it a month before everybody. And I was like, dude, so he's with me that day. He comes home. I said, hey, we got the new UFC video game before anybody got it. I'm on it. And I didn't tell him until that day. So I thought he was excited. He goes and puts it in. And I opened up the letter and it said, based on your loyalty, this and that, we remind you you did sign over your likeness image rights. We owe you nothing. But because you've been loyal, we've decided to grant you a $2,000 loyalty check fee. And if you cash this, you're accepting you never are owed anything else. They're thinking I'm like some broke dude I got to pay my bills with the $2,000,
Right.
I actually wrote fuck you on the check and was going to send it back to him. That's how I thought about their $2,000. Cause when I found out I was on the game, I called like guys I know in the WWE. They're like, yeah, I got 150,000 for the last game I was on. Or, Kurt Angle told me he got, I think 120 for a game he was on. So I'm like, even Tommy Dreamer, who wasn't that famous, he got 80,000 for one of the ECW games or something. And so I knew a couple guys in the NFL they were bench warmers. They got 25,000 for being on Madden. So I thought, dude, nothing else. I'm getting 10 or 20 grand. I thought. But yeah, it ended up being, $2,000 total. You'll never receive anything else. If you accept this, you're accepting the terms are fair and it's based on your loyalty. And to add insult to injury, I went up and actually called Monty to make sure that this was legit. This is all I'm getting. And he was like, yeah, that's just the way it is. And I come downstairs, my son's playing it, and it's me versus Cain Velasquez. And I'm just getting murdered over and over again. So I'm telling him, hey, push X and O at the same time. Hey, push this moves. And my son's just laughing over and over again. And I was like, dude, it's like 6 in a row you got killed. And he's like, Dad, I'm Cain. And I was like, wait, you're playing against me on the game? And so he goes, Dad, no offense, you're the second worst heavyweight on here. Like only Pat Barry's worse than you. He said, it's kind of embarrassing, really. And he's like, no offense. And I'm like, again, like my son is not impressed with me at all. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. He said, like Cain's a 99 on everything. And I was like, he goes, plus your eyes look weird. I was like, damn it, even he notices. You know what I mean? Like even a little 9-year-old kid notices my eyes look weird on there. So
did you
it was
cash it or just send it back? There's a couple guys. I think Nick Thompson refused to cash his check.
I probably should have. And I'll tell you what, at the time, if I'd have known I could sue later, I probably shouldn't have cashed it. But Monty kept telling me, he said, dude, I mean, it's better than nothing. And I was like, no, it's really not though. It's not really much better than nothing, you know? And, it's to me, I would rather them owe me a favor. Like, don't give me anything and say, hey, you did us a favor, as opposed to, it's like if you wash your friend's car and he gives you $1, you'd be like, dude, keep your dollar. You know what I mean? Like, I'll
Right.
just owe me a favor. And
Yeah,
so
give me a couple tickets for a couple events in the future. And I don't
something,
feel
yeah,
like an
anything.
asshole to ask you for
Yeah.
them. I feel as
Yeah.
if I'm kind of owed a little bit. Right,
Right.
right,
Anything.
right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, so yeah, so then I'm like irritated by it. And then I get my Topps trading cards. I thought that was cool. I didn't get them, but I saw they came out and they were for sale on the UFC website. And then I got a check for $7.67 a couple weeks later for that. And it said one-time payment for my Topps, like royalties. And I was like, dude, this is not that people were really trading my card or going after it, but it's got to be worth more than $7, man. You know what I mean? Like or at least give me a card, like give me a couple of the cards. You know what I mean? Like something,
Right.
But it was such their whole contract was such a scam, man. But yeah, my son was not impressed at all with me on any part of it. You know what I mean? Like he thought it was kind of kept me grounded. I told him maybe you should play as one of your friends' dads, and he goes, I don't have any friends with a dad on the game. I said, oh, exactly. And then
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
30 seconds later, he goes, but if I did, I bet they'd have a better rating than 81, and starts like cracking up. And I was like,
Oh,
dude, little fucker got me again. But yeah.
He got your wit.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
I had thought that you and Sam Hoger were always gonna fight eventually.
Yeah, that was another online underground thing. He would never fight me. We tried to get it set up forever, but he would because he was a troll kind of like me on there just trying to do it, but he would never actually take the fight. I always thought he looked like Hawk off Buck Rogers. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember that, but he actually looks like the guy that played Hawk on Buck Rogers. That's what I'd always call him. So
Hey, where were we at time wise? Where were we at? Is it? I
It's
don't want to. I
five
don't
to
want to.
five
oh
over here. What
Are
time
you
do we
okay?
start?
Are you okay for time?
I'm
Or
good
no?
with you guys. Yeah, I'm good with whatever you guys
Okay,
want to do.
I got more if it's okay.
Yeah, no,
So,
we're good.
all right. So you get more craft. You lose by guillotine. When do you get the phone call that you're cut, or is it an email?
It was actually Monty called me and said, "Hey, they're going to send you a release letter. I want to let you know before you got it, like you're going to let in the mail saying you're released." And I was really surprised, man, because it's at the time the heavyweight division wasn't like now. It's not that stacked. I was fairly popular. I had beat Hunt, who went on a tear, knocked 6 dudes in a row out. After that,
Yeah.
I was a co-main event with Struve, which I shit the bed on that one, but I literally was so nervous that week I could not sleep. Plus,
You
to be
sold it
honest,
though. But you sold it.
yeah. Yeah. And to be honest, I was a co-main event for $10,000, you know what I mean? Like, and they gave me another 10,000 as a bonus, but that's not very much for being a GSP co-main event, and, I was, I would come off, so I was running testosterone. I didn't know you could get a testosterone TRT exemption at the time. So I was taking my own testosterone. I would go off of it a month out. I was taking Anavar at the time and HGH too. I would go off of those 6 weeks out. So the weight would come off the water
Both
weight.
good things.
Yeah, and so I had no testosterone by the time it was time to fight. Just felt, and I was starving myself and cutting weight. So that week with the stress, and I didn't know at the time that you could say no to the UFC's media request. I had no idea. So their media department's like, hey, we needed you to do such and such radio at 6 a.m. And then at midnight they got me doing something else somewhere and doing this and doing that. And so my days were booked to be the co-main event. I thought I had to say yes to everything. So I just kept saying, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that. Had a big long itinerary. And I just kept doing interviews and I did not sleep that week, probably 5 or 6 hours total. And back in those days, I would just take Dramamine if I needed to sleep. It would knock me out. And so Bert, the UFC, the guy that would,
Or Watson.
yeah, Bert Watson, he told us there at the time, he's like, if he goes, do not take even so much as an aspirin without clearing it with the athletic commission. Don't do this, don't do that. And I was always worried about popping positive for steroids anyway, because I never knew when they were going to test us, if at all. I've never been to this day. I've never been tested in any fight promotion I ever fought for, thankfully. But
Mm.
I that was funny when Mark Hunt, he was suing the UFC and he's like, 6 of the fighters I lost to, or whatever, 5 of the fighters I lost to in the UFC were on steroids. And I put on Twitter, I responded to it, just put *6, like put it back to him, or whatever. He didn't think that was funny, but I mean, at the time, dude, I was already on testosterone, and I was like, everyone I know took steroids. That's what. I did have a funny one. No one's ever probably heard this story. Not very many people have heard this. At the time, I have a friend who his name might rhyme with Mitrione, told me that he had a fat burner that would work really good. He had a little nutrition company. He would sell stuff online before he started fighting as a former NFL player. He's like, dude, I got this stuff. You'll burn fat like while you sleep. I mean, it's really, really good. And so he gives me it to try, and it comes in a regular package. I thought it was, just whatever, something like a GNC. So I take it, first time I take it, I start running like 101 fever, getting dizzy, just not feeling good. I was like, dude, I called my Clingerman at the time, jiu-jitsu coach. I said, dude, I can't train tonight. I think I'm getting sick, and the fight's coming up, dude. Like, you know what I mean, with Hunt, like I gotta be healthy. So I don't do that. So the next day I'm gonna go lift weights because I missed jujitsu the night before, and maybe do a run or something, get some cardio in, take another one, like it's a pre-workout, get dizzy, start running real high fever. I was like, dude, of course, biggest opportunity in my life, and I'm gonna end up getting, you know what I mean, like sick right before. So for the heck of it, I Google what this stuff I'm taking is, like what the side effects are, just in case it's, I'm allergic to it. And it was like, if your horse begins to struggle to breathe, this and that. If your horse, this and that. And I'm like, your horse? What the hell is this?
Horse. Horse
yeah.
or horse?
No, yeah.
Man, what are we talking about here?
If I was Buffer, I'd be like, whores, of course. No,
it's the greatest thing ever. Yeah.
But so I'm like, what the fuck? So I look up, it's a horse asthma medicine called clenbuterol.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently what it does is raise your body temperature to run a fever, so you burn fat because of your basically fucking your immune system up. And I guess a lot of pro bodybuilders take it, and that was Matt's solution to me burning weight. And I was like,
we're the guy that rhymes with Matt, you mean?
Yeah. It's the guy that reminds me of Mitrione.
Yeah, we don't want to get any legal issues with Matt Mitrione.
Yeah. I'll never forget, I sent a text message, and I still have a screenshot of it somewhere. I've got text messages, man. I'm going to come out with the book one day of my messages to girls when I didn't want to date them anymore, hang out with them anymore, the stuff I would say to them. I got hundreds of screenshots. It's the funniest shit ever.
Sure, it won't get you canceled now. Yeah.
No, not now.
Funny then. Yeah.
I more don't want to do it because I wouldn't ever want my kids, or I got a grandbaby now, and my wife, obviously, I wouldn't want to disrespect her. But I still have a screenshot somewhere. It says, "Motherfucker, did you give me horse asthma medicine and tell me it was a fat burner?" It's like the Mitrione. Like, that's what I said to him, at the time or whatever. He's like, "Dude, that's what they use it for, but it's great for burning fat." I was like, the number one possible side effect is sudden death, like with human consumption. and then Matt's like, dude, I still have this whole conversation somewhere. He goes, "That's like saying you get AIDS from fucking a monkey." And I'm like, you can if the monkey has AIDS, Matt. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, what the fuck are you? And he was like, dude, only if you can't get AIDS. He told me you can only get AIDS if you put it in a girl's ass. I have no idea what that had to do with what we were talking about. But he goes, dude, that's only if you put it in their ass. That's bullshit too. And I was like, wait, what? Like, it was like,
so don't put clenbuterol on my ass and I won't die. Right. Is that what you're trying to say?
Right. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. And then Bruce Buffer was like, I've put it in my ass and nothing happened. But no, so but so we have that whole conversation. I still have it somewhere on there when I'm like, you gave me horse asthma medicine. And he was like, dude, whatever, quit being a bitch. And I said, how many times have you taken? He goes, dude, I would never take that shit. He said, it's too dangerous. He said, but I'm not the one that needs to lose weight. And I'm like, you stupid. He got it. I said, who told you about it? He said, Bill Romanowski, when I was with the Giants. I was like, okay, so now on the Bill Romanowski chemical plan. Like, it was just insanity, man. But that's why it was funny when Matt was with Bellator. He came out when the whole steroid thing got real big with USADA. He said he thinks it should be attempted murder if you get caught taking steroids and you're an MMA fighter. And I was like, really, Matt? So, like, you've never taken anything? Like, you never ever? I never got Winstrol for you, not ever. Like, it's never asked you, hey, you want some growth? I can get some somatropin right now from a guy I know who has AIDS. He probably was fucking people in the ass, and that's how he got it. But it's
his butthole was like hungry hippos. Yeah.
I knew a girl.
But that would be inappropriate to say that. That'd be inappropriate.
I knew a girl who had a brother who doesn't matter, he was gay, but she had a brother that was gay, and he had AIDS. And I was just friends with her, and I asked her time. I said, hey, does your brother get a human growth hormone? And she was like, I don't know why. So he's got AIDS, right? She was like, I really rather not talk about it. I said, see if he wants to sell one of his kits. I have the screenshot saved too. I was like, see if he wants to sell one of his kits. I'll give him $600 for it. She was like, this feels inappropriate. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, you're going to call her brother and ask. But I was like, that's where most of them were coming from at the time. You could get them from guys.
Yes.
Because they give a guy with AIDS who's in the last stage of life, they'd give him 10 times what I would take, So you can buy one kit from them. They're getting 10 a month. You can buy one of them that lasts you an entire month, So that's how you would get most of it back in the day. Or you could pay an anti-aging clinic in Miami. I used to have one of those too. And that doctor would text me. It was the most amazing thing ever. He would text me and say, my friend, what would you like to order this month? I'm like, that's what you always want to hear from a doctor. What would you like to order this month? So I
had one of those anti-aging doctors, and he looked awesome. And then he died.
Yeah. That's
he's dead now.
It's a little sketchy, those guys. I'll tell you what, if I had to do it all over again, I think I probably would have pursued something career-wise in the anti-aging world, because I really think that's going to be the future of medicine. Like, people, when guys with money realize how they can feel on the peptides and steroids.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I've been taking.
And there's no negative side effect. The only negative side effects that they get are like, well, we gave them 20 times what was recommended, 20, 30, 40 times. There's no downside.
Bob Sapp told me in Japan in 2013, I was asking him how much growth he was saying, because he was ripped, didn't lift weights, didn't exercise, didn't anything. And Sapp was like, dude, just take peptides. He knows more about drugs than anybody you've ever, I mean, dude, you can't imagine how much that dude knows. And he was talking about peptides in 2013 and was saying it's better than HGH, it's safe, telling me all this different stuff. And then he also gave me a handful. I got poked in the eye by Satoshi Ishii over there. And my eye was so bad, man. Like it's the most pain I've ever felt in a fight, including dislocating my shoulder when his finger went raked behind my eye on the ground. And I ended up having to tap. It's the only time I've ever tapped in a fight because I was like, or maybe my last one I did, I think. But he had poked me in the eye and I was like, I'm not getting a broken arm in Tokyo and losing my eye because I thought my eye was gone. That's how bad it hurt. And after the fight, I said, I told him, I said, listen, I need to go to the hospital. Something wrong with my eye. I can't see. It's just black. I can't see anything.
It's right, yeah.
Yeah, they bring a guy over and he goes, it's okay. Like that was their doctor or whatever. I was like, dude, you didn't even like no flashlight, no finger test. It's okay. And they're like, they weren't going to pay for it. I was like, you have to pay for it. I can't see, man. I said, like, there's something wrong with my eye. And I told Sapp, I was telling Bob, I was like, dude, do you have any idea how to talk to these people? Like, what am I going to do? Because all of a sudden they don't speak English all of a sudden now when I need to go to the hospital,
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like, I'm really worried about my eye. He goes, he goes, careful. Those are tens. And like, just poured me out a handful of pills out of his duffel bag. I didn't know at that point. I think I'd had back surgery, but didn't know. This is before I said I killed my grandma in Miami. I think anyway. But yeah, I didn't even know what that meant. He said, those are tens, be careful with them. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what that means. So I just took a couple of them, figured I don't know what it was. So I would make my eye not hurt. But next thing I know, I'm stumbling around on the stage, uh, saying that, who's the guy that had the first mixed martial arts match ever with Muhammad Ali, the Japanese guy?
Antonio Inoki.
Yeah. I'm at Inoki's birthday party in Japan, saying that he was my childhood hero, and that I don't know what was going on. They wanted me to say something nice about him, so I'm like stumbling around on again with Percocet over there. I think it was Percocet, who knows? But Bob had he had a duffel bag full of anything you could ever imagine. He gets from Taiwan. So Sap's a great guy, man. If you guys, I don't know that he would ever do your show. It'd be awesome if he would. But
We've
he
tried.
Is one of the really.
We've tried several times.
I talked to him about once, probably probably twice a month, 3 times a month. I'll ask him if he'll do it, man.
But you do it as a story like told like yours.
Yeah.
Freaking brilliant. Like it's incredible. And I kind of want to stop here and I'm going to tell you why. And please don't comment on this. Australia, I think you may have got no. Brian Heaton in Texas, I think you got stiff there. I think you had troubles in Australia with the promoter. Then you went to Japan. Then you got Pujanowski, which is, I know they offered you a fixed fight there. Like the second half of your career, it's a 2-hour episode.
Yeah.
Like the second half of your career is cooler than the first part.
Yeah, it was interesting, man, for sure.
Right, could we agree on that? Like the second part is like when all of like here please don't take this as an insult, but no, you fought really only on like one show coming up, and you kind of you picked and choose. Like you had your buffet on the independent grind, and then like you get thrown just to like the scummy cruise ships of the world.
Yeah.
In all these foreign countries, and it's like fucking mind-blowing what took place with you in your second half of your career. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, it was not boring. I could give it that. It was and I was fighting the whole time, hurt too. Like I'd hurt my back again really, really bad. So it was no training, no anything. Basically, you pay me enough money, I'll go get my ass kicked by somebody somewhere with a few wins in between there sometimes. So
could we reschedule for a part 2? Because I know we're like at the 2-hour mark, because I'd say the second half of your career is cooler than the first half.
Yeah. There's some stuff in there no one has ever heard before either that you guys will get a kick out of.
I think Joey, I think in Texas he for sure got stiffed.
Yeah.
In Australia, I have a feeling he got stiff there too. So and in Japan, he gets the okey doke. You just got a taste of that story right there with Inoki.
Yeah.
Dude, can we record? Let's give it 3 Sundays.
Yeah, that works for me.
I've already got my research done. Let's do it, dude. I've already got my research done. We're ready to go. Sean, absolute pleasure. And I'm glad to see like you're doing well, man.
I am I had my back. We can talk about it next time, but I had a back surgery after 12 years of hell, man. Had a back surgery about a year and a half ago that changed my life finally after, God, wait till you hear I'll tell you guys next time about my trip to Germany, which I don't know. It's funny in Germany because if you ask them what the deal with this whole Nazi thing is, you get some amazing responses. So that was amazing when I was over in Germany. Like I was just like just ask them. So what was the Nazi thing? I'm not real educated, just asking random people that on the street. But
They get uncomfortable. They get
yeah,
uncomfortable.
I had to apologize to the gypsies when I fought Pujanowski over there because I offended the gypsy population. Like
Oh, dude,
I've got some
it's so
amazing
good.
things that happened.
Corey
So, yeah,
Fisher was the promoter. Corey Fisher's the promoter for that one.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
All right.
it was amazing stuff. So,
All right, man. Excellent. 3 Sundays, we get part 2 because that's like a whole friggin' different ball. Dude, it's like you get run game on you by some of these scumbags.
yeah, it was. The only. Well, we'll talk about that. I only had one way to guarantee I ever got paid, and it was an amazing system I used.
See you in a couple of weeks, Sean. Thanks.
All right, buddy. See you.
Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
That's a good one.
He said he's going to be one of our best episodes, and I don't think he's lying.
He produced, but I'm going to tell you the second part. Yeah, like I was kind of in a quandary. Like Sean McCorkle, cool guy, clearly, yes. But I'm like, if we start at the second half, it's going to be a therapy session.
Mm-hmm.
So good stuff. All right. This is what we got going on. TheOnlyGround.com. Joey, what I'd like to try to do is create a timeline of the UFC. Like right now, the UFC, we're going to call it like the money grab era, where they have trimmed the roots on the companies that actually help produce them, people like the LFA and several other companies, like one in Canada, one in Mexico, all these other companies, like they kind of cut them off, yet they're like really aggressively trying to get as much cash out on top. And like when you see Dana White publicly state, well, I'm not really involved in the negotiating anymore. What's happening is anything Dana White has said or put forward, they've cut his legs off. So him saying what you guys are seeing right now, hey guys, I got nothing to do with this. So when people are kind of like bagging on Dana White for going, well, he's not even a part of it anymore. Well, look at the product.
Right.
Look at the product. So what I'm going to do is on theonlyground.com, this will probably come out next week. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start a thread where we're going to try to look at the different eras of the UFC. Like you got your beginning, the no holds barred era.
Right.
And then you get, what's the one after that?
John Peretti era.
The John Peretti, the modern martial arts era with John Peretti.
Gloves, rounds.
Yeah, rounds, weight classes, things of that nature. And then we're also going to include like sales of like when the companies were sold. And then like you kind of got like your NASCAR era with all of it. And I'm just throwing this out there, and I'm going to rely on the people from theonlyground.com to kind of help really shape it and form it and put some dates by it. The Ultimate Fighter era, of
course,
the Reebok era. Do you know what I mean? Just the kind of that grows to where it's at today. The USADA era, where Andrei Arlovsky starts kind of, having a resurgence. In his career, I think Johnny Hendricks, kind of gets deflated.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of look at the different eras and really use some of the brightest minds in the sport to kind of put things at it to where when you and I are doing these interviews, we can kind of give not only like a better context to it,
right,
but maybe we can dupe somebody into doing a video for our channel rather than somebody else's using this timeline. And doing like a real cool video.
Yeah. If one of our listeners wants to come and cooperate with us, that'd be great.
Dude,
it's how we've got everybody that's on the team so far. We're always looking for people.
Yeah. So we got Nathan Karimi. We just picked him up. He's doing our YouTube. I know he's playing with it. He's playing with it like a Rubik's Cube. It's definitely different than what it was. But I'm going to tell you, things have really helped out with him. Like, there's things that I'm not happy with. That has nothing to do with him. It's me not being happy with how YouTube makes us do business. Like I like YouTube to mirror Instagram. And he's saying we can do that eventually. I just need to kind of play with it. He's done a phenomenal job with it. Like I'm looking at the numbers.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't have done it.
And I wouldn't even have wanted to, to try it. And am I happy with what we're putting out? No, but what's happening is we're allowed to compete with other podcasts that get crazy amounts of numbers with nowhere near the content that we put out.
Right.
And what his understanding is let's just get the foundation set, understand what the algorithm is for us, and then kind of send things through those portals afterward.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, I mean, I get it. And his give a shit is really high.
Yeah, he cares.
You know, he's one of us.
He wants to win the game.
Yeah, he's one of us. He's one of us. So we're doing that. I'm doing outings with people from the onlyground.com. If I got a little bit of extra guest list at some of the bare knuckle events, I'm putting them on it as well. So it's cool.
I'll be at the one in California. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Good. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Joey, we're going to finish up with the Elite XC.
Elite XC. We got one more on that. And then Tank's dropping. Well, by the time this drops, Tank's already dropped, but we got at least one more episode with him.
I think we got two more.
Maybe.
You know what, guys, if you like our Tank Abbott interviews,
comment below.
No, drop McCartney below.
Yes, drop an AI picture of Big John McCarthy looking like Paul McCartney. Yes, do that. Tank gets a kick out of it.
Yeah, he does. All right, brother, do your thing, man. I'll see you next week.
Ya.
Later.